All right, so the first thing we're going to cover is the conflict between Crystal Ball and JD Vance. There's a few other things that JD Vance has done this week. They are all embarrassing. JD Vance has embarrassed the fuck out of himself, and the only reason that you're not hearing about that more is because Trump had another, very delusional individual try to end his life, apparently. More on that maybe tomorrow, but we got Crystal Ball here. We got Saagar and Jetty. So now here's the real drama. From what I've heard, Saagar is a friend of JD Vance. Saagar is also the co-host of Breaking Points with Crystal Ball. So that's the kind of dynamic that you've got here, is that JD Vance is getting dirty on Crystal Ball, and it's awkward. It's awkward because this is, Saagar's kind of stuck in the middle. Look, the person in the middle here is Zaid Jilani, but Saagar is kind of in the middle of this Crystal Ball versus JD Vance situation. Let's see what's up with this. And let's also, oh my God, mute the music because we are not trying to listen to all of the songs.
Conversation. We're happy to be joined this morning.
Oh, wait, I gotta wait.
The pets.
I forgot. Oh my God, chat. I just get so bad of attention deficit sometimes that it distracts me. Hitting the button. There's one more button I need to hit. I think it's this one. Have we hit every button? I think we have.
Conversation. We're happy to be joined this morning by a great friend of the show, Zaid Jilani. You guys all need to go and subscribe to Zed's newsletter. What is it called?
Saagar, the 40-year-old groiper?
Saga? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, exactly. And I have the URL, just theamericansaga.com, so on Substack.
Amazing. Everybody should definitely check that out. So Zaid and I were able to provoke the ire of vice presidential candidate JD Vance. We'll get to that in a moment. But Senator Vance was on the Sunday shows making his case for sort of acknowledging that the Haitian pets lie was maybe not true, but also giving quite a noteworthy explanation for why he continues to lean into it. Let's listen to a little bit of how that went.
My constituents have brought approximately a dozen separate concerns to me. 10 of them are verifiable and confirmable, and a couple of them I talk about because my constituents are telling me firsthand that they're seeing these things. So I have two options, Dana. I can ignore them, which is what the American media has done for years to this community, or I can actually talk about what people are telling me. And of course, many of the things that the media says are completely baseless have since been confirmed. For example, I was told, Dana, that by the American media that it was baseless that migrants were capturing the geese from the local park pond and eating them. And yet there are 911 calls from well before this ever became a viral sensation of people complaining about that exact thing happening.
First of all, the Clark County Sheriff and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources reviewed 11 months of 911 calls. They only identified 2 instances of people alleging Haitians were taking geese out of parks. They found 0 evidence to substantiate those claims. But you're not just a bystander. You're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing.
But I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate.
Pat, I'm actually thinking maybe we should start off. Maybe we should start off with this.
We are 51 days from the election, and together with their running mates, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the JD Vance versus Crystal Ball thing, but I guess they're referencing this debate. I call it a debate because it feels like a debate, right? It feels like JD Vance was just extremely slippery, extremely slimy in this interview. This is what this is, an interview with Dana Bash, and so it gets super awkward. And I need you to watch this. I need you to understand this. And it's really because like I'm seeing what Crystal and Sagar are doing, and they're showing clips. It's kind of out of context. I don't think you'll understand the story. I don't think you'll understand the narrative until you see this. So
Donald Trump are focusing on the states that will decide the next president, with the race apparently deadlocked after what could be the only Harris-Trump debate. But Donald Trump is also doubling down on a baseless claim that he made at the debate, that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, are eating people's pets. Local officials and the state's Republican governor say there is absolutely no evidence of that claim, and they are warning it is actually hurting their city. Springfield, Ohio is facing the fourth day of threats over the claims that have forced a college, hospitals, and schools to lock down. Meanwhile, Springfield police say they received 2 calls about Proud Boys marching through the city. Here's how Donald Trump responded to the controversy over Haitians who, I want to note, are in the U.S. legally.
I don't know what happened with the bomb threats. I know that it's been taken over by illegal migrants, and that's a terrible thing that happened. Springfield was this beautiful town, and now they're going through hell.
Here with me now is Republican Vice Presidential nominee JD Vance, who represents Ohio in the U.S. Senate. Thank you for being here, sir. So the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, Rob Rue, said, quote, all these federal politicians that have negatively spun our city, they need to know they're hurting our city, and it was their words that did it. Before Donald Trump talked about eating dogs and cats on a debate stage, it was you, Senator, who first elevated this baseless rumor. These are your constituents. So why are you putting them at risk by continuing to spread claims about Haitian immigrants, despite officials in your state saying that there's no evidence and pleading for you to stop?
Well, Dana, first of all, what's putting the residents of Springfield at risk, which was a town completely ignored by the American media until Donald Trump and I started surfacing some of these concerns, is that they can't afford housing, they can't afford health care. The schools have been overwhelmed, the hospitals have been overwhelmed, and they're overwhelmed because Kamala Harris allowed 20,000 Haitian migrants to get dropped into a small Ohio town of about 40,000 people, and it's completely overwhelmed the services. Now, you ask, why have I talked about some of the things?
it's so wild when you're saying that allowed Haitians to get airdropped, right? So it's such weasel words, right? Kamala Harris did not do anything to direct Haitians under temporary protected status into Springfield. What did that was capitalism. What did that was the fact that there's a need over here in Springfield for workers, and there's a bunch of, people from Haiti that have left because of political violence in a large way caused because of the United States that made their country unlivable. And what Kamala Harris actually did, and this is something that I really wish people could get through their head, because it comes up in the WIC debate on CuteBot as well. Vice presidents don't do shit, all right? They serve at the behest, right? They are not a boss. They are an employee. An employee of who? An employee of the president, serving at the pleasure of the president of the United States, named by the president, selected by the president, and dismissed by the president if the president does not want that vice president. They do an official act in the Senate when there is a tie, and that is to break the tie. And, they're still sort of bound to the president, as in if a vice president votes a way that the president doesn't want, that person can be replaced. So we got to stop thinking of the vice president as somebody who is directing policy, right? You can't blame Mike Pence for Trump trying to take over, trying to stay in power, because Mike Pence actually, even when Trump said, you need to do this, Mike Pence says, no, I do not need to do that. That is unethical, and I don't want to be part of that. And that's why Mike Pence did not get selected as Trump's next, was not Trump's VP choice this time, right? So it's really annoying that we're giving Kamala Harris more agent. Now, does the vice president do anything while they're a vice president? Yes. What do? They do what the president wants them to do. They do what the president tells them to do. In the case of Kamala Harris, one of the things that the president said to do was to negotiate with countries like Guatemala, over things like immigration. So that's the border czar role that she filled. That is not like she is like elected border czar, and did she do a good job or did she do a bad job? Well, let's see who's, how many people are coming over the border. So yeah, you gotta get this fucking brain rot out of your head. Also, so what he's really saying is Joe Biden, right? What did Joe Biden do? Joe Biden gave refugees whose lives were in danger temporary protected status. Joe Biden acted on behalf of humanitarian concerns for people whose lives were in danger to say, your life is in danger because of Haiti. I don't know if there's a tacit admission that the United States has a lot to do with the state of things in Haiti right now, which it absolutely does, or not. But regardless, Biden fulfilled the humanitarian role that every nation is supposed to fulfill in saying that people that are seeking asylum, people that are in danger, people can come to the country. In this case, temporarily, right? This is not like they're immigrated. This is not like they become citizens. This is just temporary protected status. Once they get that, they're here in the United States, and the forces of capitalism pull them to Springfield. JD Vance is so full of shit here. I'm sorry that I had to stop and stun lock on this, but it just makes me mad seeing somebody look. And Dana Bash is, people have had different reactions to this debate. She does go hard on him. She does correct him. She does try to push back against his lies. But watch how hard she goes, right? Because this was my reaction to hearing him lie like that. I very much doubt that you're going to hear that much pushback from Dana Bash. Wait, is it pronounced Dana?
That I've been talking about. Let me just say this. My constituents have brought approximately a dozen separate concerns to me. 10 of them are verifiable and confirmable, and a couple of them I talk about because my constituents are telling me firsthand that they're seeing these things. So I have two options, Dana. I can ignore them, which is what the American media has done for years to this community, or I can actually talk about what people are telling me. And of course, many of the things that the media says are completely baseless have since been confirmed. For example, I was told, Dana, that by the American media, that it was baseless that migrants were capturing the geese from the local park pond and eating them. And yet there are 911 calls from well before this ever became a viral sensation of people complaining about that exact thing happening.
That is not a 911 call. Why would that be a 911 call? Is it even a crime? Oh my God, chat. I gotta know. Is it... If it would be a crime, it would be like a violation of like hunting, like unlicensed hunting. Is it a crime to hunt... to take geese from the park? There's a migratory bird treaty. Yeah, so the Humane Society. Is it illegal to take a goose as a pet? Yes. Federal migratory bird. It just doesn't seem like a 911 call. It doesn't seem like a 911 call. It doesn't seem like it should be a 911 call.
Listen to my constituents. Sometimes they're going to say things that people don't like, but they're saying...
Sometimes they're going to say things that aren't true and are just racist, and you're supposed to take them at face value, even though there's no fucking proof of it, even though there's no police record of it.
Things that people don't like because their town has been overwhelmed, and it's my job to try to fight for them and to protect them. Kamala Harris opened the border, and now these people are suffering. That's what I'm focused on, Dana.
Senator, I have to go through.
Oh my God, what is this? Can I take ducks home from the park? You're not allowed to take live birds home, but you can have parts as long as you're within the you can have parts?
Several things that you just said. First of all, the Clark County Sheriff and the Ohio Department of...
The other thing is we got this combination of reports of these Haitian migrants have $5,000 on their SNAP. They have $5,000 extra after buying groceries, right? That was one complaint. So the government's giving them all this free money to get all the groceries that they want. They supposedly refer to the EBT card as the magic money card, right? You got that, and then you got they're eating the geese. So either they're so freaking hungry that they're looking for, like, can I get some meat? Can I get some extra food somehow? Where can I get like food, right? Or they are flush with EBT cash. It's one or the other. It's not both.
Natural Resources reviewed 11 months of 911 calls. They only identified 2 instances of people alleging Haitians were taking geese out of parks. They found 0 evidence to substantiate those claims.
So in other words, there was a report on 911. It was investigated. Like, what if there's 911 calls saying, like, my husband's being abducted by an alien? And the police go to the house and they find that the husband's being seduced by another woman or something. Like, I don't know. There's not an alien, right? It's not whatever the person said. It's not true, right? I just don't know. Like, how far are you going to take this?
Also, other evidence that you have talked about, even you've retweeted alleged evidence, are unsourced social media videos from a different city, apparently no connection to Haitians. And this is from a conservative activist who offered a $5,000 reward for such things. And then going just backly to the schools and the hospitals and so forth being overwhelmed, nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio, needs help. But you're not just a bystander, you're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing, why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot of employers there who say that the Haitian workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic.
Okay, so let's drill down on this a little bit. I'm reading from Dayton Daily News here. This is Dayton, Ohio. Where's Dayton, Ohio? I think it's in the middle of Ohio, kind of towards the north. No, it's like, I feel like it's like smack dab in the center. Let me just look really quick. Dayton, Ohio. Dayton, Ohio. I want to see just like, where are you, Dayton? Okay, there it is. Oh, sorry, west side of Ohio, north of Cincinnati, west of Columbus. That's where east of Indianapolis. Like, that's where Dayton is, right? So, Dayton is over here. Oh, geez, it does actually. Okay, so it doesn't. Not that it matters, right? But it's pretty far from. We're Springfield. Springfield is where we're looking. Find Springfield again. Cincinnati, Columbus. Oh my God, why is the map so weird? Oh my God. Columbus, Zanesville. Where the fuck is Springfield again? I had it. Cleveland, Sandusky. I actually thought, well, it's like a 50,000. Like, it's not showing up for me. Fuck. Oh my God. No, I keep on clicking on the wrong thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, I'm getting obsessed about little details. It doesn't matter. This is from the Dayton Daily News. Dayton is not near Springfield, I don't think. But it is a town in Ohio that did, the Dayton Daily News did an article on this. That's the point, right? According to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, upon follow-up, no supporting evidence was found of wildlife being illegally removed from the park in either case. according to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, which manages this stuff. The issues are receiving renewed attention after former President Trump at a rally in Tucson, Arizona, Thursday night, reiterated the rumors about Haitians in Springfield. The migrants are walking off with town's geese. They're taking the geese. You know where their geese are? In the park, in the lake? And they're even walking off with pets. My dog's been taken, said the former president. There have been no reports of Haitian immigrants in Springfield stealing pets, city and county officials have said. As for the claims about geese, records obtained in the from ODNR and Clark County showed 2 complaints this year. The caller said she was driving to Snyder Park around noon, March 27th, when she saw 3 men described as Haitian males. Again, I'm sorry, I just don't trust this random person to be able to be like, oh yes, they were Haitian. Like, you know, I think what she's trying to say is they were black, and she's got Haitians on the brain. So anyway, place a live goose, Canada goose, and a live duck in a black trash bag and driveway. Officer monitored the area and did not find any evidence of a crime. On 26th of August, Clark County Sheriff's Office relayed a report of 2 men and 2 women believed to be Haitian, each carrying a goose. 1 goose under each arm, maybe, I don't know. The officer was initially unable to reach the witness, but later made contact. No supporting evidence to verify the claim was found. Clark County officials said earlier this week they scoured 11 months of call records and found the August 22nd call was the only one of its type at the dispatch center. No videos have surfaced, no pictures have surfaced, no dead geese have surfaced. There's nothing to substantiate that it's happening. Clark County Commissioner Sasha Rittenhouse said Wednesday. I wonder if they're any relation to Kyle. Probably not. At an August 27th Springfield City Commission meeting, a man told commissioners that Haitians were taking ducks out of the park, but did not offer any evidence. A widely circulated photo of a man carrying what appears to be a goose, Canada goose, down a city street had been traced to Columbus at the intersection of Cleveland Avenue and North Wald Road. Again, Columbus is pretty far from Springfield, right? ODNR has and the person wasn't Haitian, right? The ODNR has a dedicated wildlife officer assigned to Clark County who routinely monitors Snyder Park because it's a popular fishing area. The agency says Canada geese are protected under federal and state law. Canada geese and ducks can be hunted at certain locations during certain times of the year. This year, the early season for Canada geese. Okay, so they can be hunted. Okay, check this out. September 7th through September 15th. Yo, so if any Canada geese were taken, you know, in proximity to when this thing blew up, right, in the past week or so, those were potentially legal geese. And also, even assuming that this happened, right? Even assuming that one of these cases was actually a Haitian person taking a goose, you're talking about like a hunting and fishing violation. This is not like the fucking end of the world. And, you know, there's so much wrong with this. There's so much wrong with this story. There's so much wrong with the fact that if there was somebody that was not Haitian that was reported to have done this, it would not be a story. But the idea that one Haitian person taking 1 goose can cause a fucking moral panic that gets bomb threats called on people is 100% ridiculous to me.
Propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to...
I'm sorry, this is just pissing me off.
These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting.
There's nothing that... No, it's random. It's random. Randomly, there was a bomb threat on the hospital. It had nothing to do with me making a lie that Haitian migrants are eating people's pets and maybe wandering off with some ducks, right? Of national fucking story, right? There's no correlation between that and the bomb threat that was called in. No, that was just fucking random. Sure thing, JD. He's so full of shit. This guy is so full of shit.
The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator,
and
this
threats of
happened
violence.
after you and
But to
President
say-
Trump
no,
were,
Dana,
on the
to
debate
say-
stage, said
Dana,
that cats and dogs
you
were
asked,
being
you
eaten.
asked a question, Dana, and
after
I'm going to
that-
go ahead and answer it.
Okay,
What
after
we
that,
said,
they were
what
threatened.
we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening?
When you lie about these problems and a psychopath threatens bombs, when you elevate this to the presidential debate stage, yes, you are fucking responsible. Not allowed to? I guess you're allowed to. You did it. Nobody's like disqualifying your campaign. Nobody's putting you in jail. So are you allowed to? Sure, I guess. You're allowed to do a lot of things, JD Vance, but it doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to call you an absolute piece of shit human being for doing it. It doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to fucking criticize. Am I not allowed to talk about the fact that you are 100% a weasel?
Threatening violence. We can condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible
But also cause more violence on the other hand. That's what the motherfucker is saying here.
consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Now, let me just fact check a couple.
How about the terrible consequences of your fucking lies about hardworking Haitian migrants that aren't fucking hurting anyone? How about that?
Of other things that you said, Dana, because it's important. You said that all of these migrants are in the country legally. They are in the country through what's called temporary protective status.
Right.
That is when
They're in the country because their lives are in danger in Haiti. Yes, yes, yes. Because Joe Biden did the humanitarian thing and allowed people whose lives are in danger in a big way because of United States foreign policy to enter the United States and to be protected and to stay in the United States temporarily. And that is what they're doing. In the interviews that we saw with a lot of the Haitian migrants, they're talking about, I am still dreaming Haiti. I do want to go back. I want to go to my home. People don't just up and leave their homes for no reason, right? It happens because of political violence that puts their life in danger. They're leaving. They're coming to the United States because they had to.
Kamala Harris waved a magic amnesty wand, taking people and giving them legal status. That is not to say.
And again, he's putting that on Kamala Harris, the vice president that serves at the pleasure of the president of the United States. Were she to do something that Joe Biden disagreed with, she could be removed. That is how vice president works. The vice president is an employee. Think of it this way. The vice president is a member of the cabinet, serves at the pleasure of the president. And the only thing that the vice president really does on their own, like I said, is breaks a tie in the Senate. If the Senate is 50-50, the vice president comes in, votes, casts the deciding vote to tip it towards rejecting a bill or towards accepting a bill. And again, if a vice president votes in a way that the president disagrees with, the president can eliminate them. So stop trying to put this on Harris. This is a Biden thing. Also, I don't think Biden did anything wrong. You would let those people be fucking murdered in Haiti. That is what you're saying. Stop trying to make this like this is some sort of thing where Biden or Harris or somebody, they just love having, Haitians here. Or they got some secret plan. I'm going to let all the Haitians in. No, these people are in danger because of U.S. foreign policy, because the United States, amongst other countries, European powers, will not let Haiti have their democratically elected government. We want to impose a government on them that serves American corporations, European interests, American interests, rather than a president who serves the Haitian people as they should, as the American president should serve the American people, right? We won't let that happen. We are dominating and controlling their government, causing political instability, right? The least thing that the president could do is to protect the people who are victims of the violence caused by the political instability, caused by our foreign policy.
that they're here legally, that is a terrible indictment of her amnesty policies that have further opened the
But they're
border
not-
and further
but it's
caused
not illegal. You
terrible
might-
migration
you
into
might
this
be-
country.
It's also not amnesty, it's temporary. It's you're in danger right now. Hades gone to hell. It's super dangerous. Come over here and do not get killed. That is all it is.
You might not agree with the policy, and obviously you don't, which is totally fair and legitimate. There are policy disagreements all the time. But the fact is, it is the law because President
Dana,
Biden
the point
and
is,
Vice
Dana,
President Harris are. But I don't want to frankly go down.
So anyway, there's different characterizations of this debate. I've heard people on the left say that Dana Bash ate him for lunch. I've seen people on the right say that Dana Bash discredited herself as a journalist. She showed her bias. My opinion of this so far is that actually she's kind of weak here. All right. Not to pick her out as being weaker than, like, there's a lot of this. There's a lot of like bringing somebody on for an interview and treating them with deference, treating them nicer than they deserve. And in this case, when you got somebody fucking lying, now she did push back. And so that's what I mean about, I don't want to like have a go at Dana Bash because the media does this all the time. They want access, right? The biggest problem with the media is access journalism. If you want to be able to interview JD Vance, if you want to be able to interview Donald Trump, hell, if you want to be able to interview Kamala Harris, it behooves you not to ask the tough questions. However, you are working for the public. You are working for the American people and trying to find the truth. And the American people want you to ask the tough questions. So the question is, do you preserve your access by going easy on the candidate, or do you serve the American people at the risk of alienating somebody and making it so that somebody's, or maybe that whole political side's not going to do interviews? I would rather have more journalists do what Dana Bash is doing and at least pushing back a little bit, because that way you give them a situation where they don't have an easy softball place to go to. Now, of course, they're going to have that. There's Fox News. Fox News will always serve that function. And you know, you probably find journalists on the left, like, right? You go talk to Rachel Maddow. She'll probably, if you're a Democratic candidate, she'll probably go easy on you too. So, you know, you can't actually have that kind of solidarity where like all journalists are like, yes, we're going to ask them the tough questions. But in a perfect world, that's what journalists would do.
This conversation about
Dana,
policy because
you made a point. You don't. I agree. You don't want to talk about policy.
No,
Dana,
what I
want to
talk about. What I want to talk about
instead of about the fact
Senator,
that Kamala
it was
Harris,
your
Dana,
distraction.
granted amnesty.
You were the
at
one
a
who
mass
started
level.
talking
She
about
granted
eating
amnesty
dogs
at a
and
mass
cats.
level.
You were the one who
Dana,
brought this
my
up. The
constituents
president
were the
said it
ones
to
who talked about
60
eating
million
dog and
people.
cats, and I talked about it because you were ignoring this community. My constituents talked about
Have
it.
you
And
been
it is
to
my
Springfield?
responsibility to surface their concerns when the American media
Have you been to
ignores it.
Springfield?
Dana, I've been to Springfield probably 100 times in my life.
How about
I've taken my
recently,
children
since
to
you've
get
heard
ice
this?
cream at Young's Jersey Dairy.
Have you heard recently since you've
Have I been in
gotten
the
these
last?
calls?
Have I been in the last 4 days?
No,
no,
I'm
I haven't
talking
been in
about
the last 4 days. But I've
since
talked
you've
to a lot
gotten
of
these
people
calls
in
from the
Springfield, Dana,
constituents.
and they're telling me this stuff is happening. Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics?
How about you stop being such a weasel? How about you stop being such a weaselly little liar? All right.
Notice.
You know what he's doing? He's being entitled as fuck, right? I want to be able to come on here, answer your questions with lies, and to have you move on to the next question. Fuck you. Fuck you.
That when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed.
Okay, now what is up with that, chat? Does anybody understand what he's saying there? Multiple choice. Like, do you, Kamala Harris, A, think that the problems of unaffordability can be solved with price controls? B, think that the policies are best addressed with, tax credits? Or C, think that it's the Federal Reserve's job to, I don't know, right? That's what he's saying, and that's not what she did. That's not what she didn't. She didn't give any multiple choices. It'd be so wild. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. That's not something that happens in an interview. If it was, it would be, like that. I don't know. That's not real.
them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy.
Where did he get that?
But if you're going to interrupt me,
Where did he get that
every
idea?
single time that I open my mouth,
JD, I'm going to interrupt you even when your mouth is closed. I don't give a fuck, all right? I'm a streamer. I can pause you anytime I want and annoy the fuck out of my audience. I'll try to stop doing that, though, audience, because I do care about you.
then why am I even doing this? So please ask a question.
Why am I even doing? I could be on Fox News getting softballs, getting my balls massaged by Sean Hannity. Why am I even here? You're supposed to massage my balls better. Dana, you're being too rough on these balls. Come on.
And I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes, I am. And I think that if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were making unsubstantiated claims that had racist undertones about people eating dogs and cats, and they didn't answer the questions about that, then I would have similar interactions with them. As you know, I am very grateful that you come on the show, as I am for other Republicans. But this is something that you're hearing from constituents. I did a lot of reporting. I talked to people in Ohio over the weekend, and they're really worried about these claims. The policies, yes, I am agreeing with you that what I heard is that there is concern that these migrants, there's a lot of them, and the integration isn't being done fast enough and well enough. Aidan Clark, who is an 11-year-old boy who was killed in Springfield last year. It was a car accident involving a Haitian immigrant. You said that he was murdered. His father said that's not true. It was an accident. Here's what he said to you.
Politicians, Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, JD Vance, and Donald Trump. They have spoken my son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now. They are not allowed, nor have they ever been allowed to mention Aidan Clark from Springfield, Ohio.
So for anybody who missed it the other day when I covered it, these are the parents of a child who died in a bus crash involving a Haitian migrant, right? This person didn't have, a license, and so they were found like culpable for the death. However, they didn't cause the death intentionally, right? So their negligence, yes. Murder, no. JD Vance et al., Donald Trump et al., calling it a murder. This is the father of the child that died in that accident, asking these scumbag politicians to keep his son's name, his dead son's name, out of their mouths, right? Pretty simple request. Pretty monstrous if you do not, comply with that. With the father of the dead child saying, stop using my son to instigate hate against Haitian migrants. I don't want this. I don't want this to be the legacy of my now dead child. What happened was tragic. What happened was awful. Maybe even the person that did it was negligent, and that's fucked up, and they deserve to pay some sort of legal penalty. But do not use this to demonize an entire group of people that did nothing wrong.
I will listen to them one more time to hear their apologies.
Senator, he's asking for you to apologize. Will you?
Dana, first of all, my heart goes out to the Clark family.
Okay, so for anybody that complained that Kamala did not answer the first question during the debate, Kamala, beat around the bush talking to Donna Bash, et cetera, which, I somewhat agree with, right? Politicians do this shit all the time. Listen to what JD Vance has done. Simple question, will you apologize to the father of the dead child? JD Vance, let's see what kind of answer you give. I'm so far it's not good. Right here, let's pull this back.
Apologies.
Senator, he's asking for you to apologize. Will you?
Dana, first of all, my heart goes out to the Clark family, and I don't bring their son's name up because they've clearly expressed a preference for politicians to not bring their son's name up. I wish them all the best. I can't believe what kind of a...
So he's trying to use the fact that the guy doesn't want him to bring his son's name up to say, I guess I can't apologize. Not supposed to bring up the name. Oh well, nothing I can do. No, fucking apologize. You can apologize to the father without fucking
tragedy they've experienced, but I'm still going to keep on talking about what the migrants have done to Springfield, Ohio, and what Kamala Harris's open border has done to Springfield, Ohio. And Dana, I think this illustrates the
complete fucking weasel, complete fucking dodge of the question.
Entire contrast between how we're trying to go about this debate and how a lot of the Democrats are trying to go about this debate. They're talking about 12 Proud Boys marching in Springfield, Ohio. They're talking about...
Now, I've seen a clip of the Proud Boys in Ohio. Let me see if I can find that. I think it's more than 12, right? Also, it's not just Proud Boys. Blood Tribe was there too. You know, Blood Tribe is the red shirt wearing, swastika bearing neo-Nazis that terrorize people.
About the frankly fake debunkings of a lot of these stories that are out there. I'm talking to my constituents and I'm hearing terrible things about what's going on in Springfield, and Kamala Harris's open border policies have caused these problems. The hospitals are overwhelmed, Dana. The schools are overwhelmed. The local services are completely overwhelmed. You have people who can't afford housing. Homelessness has gone up. Murders are up by 81% because of what Kamala Harris has allowed to happen to this small community. I'm going to keep on talking about that. Now, of course, we can criticize violence. We can also still talk about the problems that are happening in Springfield, and we should be able to do both those things simultaneously, Dana.
Yeah, that's more than 12 people, isn't it?
You, again, started this in part.
So, I mean, like, this is one, I'm going to mute this just in case. Like, it's hard to tell there's, you know, a group like that's already across the street. There's a few people running as the light ends. But yeah, these are Proud Boys. Look at that. Let's just count, all right? If we can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 in the picture alone. 12 Proud Boys. Look at that. There's more. There's more. And look, you know, it's not that many more. You could look at that. Look at. I mean, there's not like 100 right in that picture. But yeah, no, he's full of shit. So it's looking like that's the only it's the only clip that I'm seeing here on Twitter. Oh, I hate Taylor Swift. Yeah, this was a great reaction. But he's minimizing the fuck out of that. Also, it's not just the Proud Boys, it's the bomb threats, it's the literal neo-Nazis, and yes, there was a more if I type in Blood Tribe here, see, I'm not going to do that because like Twitch has a policy about hate symbols, so we're trying to minimize any sort of does one of them have a furry head on? I feel like one of these. You see that? There's like a furry, like the head to a fursuit. It looks. I don't know. That's probably not really what it is, but it looks like a. Yeah, it looks like they're wearing a cat head. Anyway. Yeah, look at this. There's a KKK flyers, right? So it's not just the Proud Boys. There's definitely more than 12 of them. And that's not even the point. So yeah, like I said, a lot of people on the left are really saying that Dana ate here. A lot of the people on the right are saying that this is proof that she is biased. And I actually think that her pushback is a little like weaker than what I'd like to see. All right, not that I'm calling her out again. This isn't abnormal. This is just normal fucking mainstream journalist behavior. They always do this shit. But anyway, yeah, just to fact check him, there's not just 12 Proud Boys.
By saying that, at which Donald Trump repeated on the debate stage, that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Can you affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
Dana, the evidence is the first-hand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media
Can somebody explain to me, what is an angel mom? Anybody know this term? Anybody heard this phrase before? Is this just what you're calling like anybody that you can find that's been affected by a crime involving a illegal or illegal immigrant? Is this what we're trying to do to try to stoke more hatred against these people?
Totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
But it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American.
There we go. So a lot of the people that said that she did a good job, that's what they're talking about, right? If we have to create stories, then it's worth it to bring attention to all the, all the crime, all the bad stuff being done by Haitians in this country. We have to create stories, and a lot of people are taking that as an admission that he's lying. There's a few other things that he said too that sort of point to the fact that he knows that they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats thing is just not true.
American media actually,
but it's worth it because the American media refuses to pay attention to the problems of our white Springfield residents wanting to deport the fucking Haitian migrants in there under temporary protected status that are fueling, the town's economy. And again, are there problems? Is there an issue with rent being too high? Yes, but the rent is already too high.
Pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala.
Parents of a deceased child, first time I've ever heard it.
Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that you're
be
creating
talking about
a story.
Public policy.
Okay, this is the awkward part. This is the really awkward part. This is what I mean. It's like look, let me give her some credit. She's upset about something that you should be upset about. I mean, I guess as a journalist, you got to try to rein in your emotions. Like, I would not be doing a good job if I was in her place. I would probably, yell down his throat, which would not be a good look. That's not what you're supposed to do, as an interviewer. But she, I want to give her credit in that she is not this cold, detached journalist that is just like there to ask the questions and they don't answer the questions. And you're like, fine, I guess that's the fucking game. Punch your punch card and go home. Right. I'm glad that she seems to care about this at least. But I do see that, like, I don't know. To me, it just feels like she's got more restraint than she needs to have in this kind of case. With a lying liar, with a weaselly little liar like JD Vance, I want somebody who's going to turn this interview into a debate. I'm sorry, I know that's not like journalism. I know that's not how it's supposed to work, but I just can't stand these motherfuckers hurting people with lies. It really, really burns me up. Looking at Angel Moms etymology, in 2000, the organization Angel Moms was founded, a group of mothers whose children had died, not limited to specific cause. So it's any mother with a child that has died. In the second sense, so there's a second sense of it. The term was introduced by Donald Trump in 31 1st of August 2016 at the end of a speech about immigration. He had mothers whose children were killed by an undocumented immigrant. So the way that he's using it is a racist, attempt to gin up hatred against all migrants because of the tragic.
Afford food and housing.
You just said that you're
Okay, God, love to drill down on that.
creating a
about
story.
public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you
Yes.
created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not
We are
accurate.
creating. We are. Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents.
He is talking down to her like she's a child. This is so uncomfortable.
I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating
And the sad thing is, if an interview turns awkward, I mean, the tendency is to blame the interviewer.
the American media.
But I mean, from my understanding, most people are reading this as JD Vance, failing at this interview, looking really bad. That's what the predominant, take on this is. Again, I would be happy to see her go a little harder, although I understand why she's not. I understand the role of a journalist, and that if she went, she's already in a place where she's having to debate him, and
focusing on it. I didn't create 20,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policies did that, but yes, we created the actual focus that allowed the American media to talk about this story and the suffering caused by Kamala Harris's policy.
you created a focus which blamed the people running from political instability that caused their lives to be in danger, and the Biden administration doing the humanitarian thing by giving them temporary protected status instead of the fucking system of exploitation in this country, instead of the lack of regulations that causes housing prices to be so goddamn high, that causes people to live in such a precarious situation, that the perturbation of a housing market can have some pretty bad effects. And like I mean, I haven't seen proof of it, but I do not doubt that an already precarious situation for a lot of people in Springfield, Ohio, is probably made more precarious. I just disagree with the idea of blaming people that are running for their fucking lives, or blaming Biden, who is giving them a place to escape to. I disagree with that. I disagree with demonizing people that are in such a fucked up situation for the effects of that of their employment on people that are not being supported with a social with the kind of social safety net that they should have, with the kind of housing programs that would allow them to not be put out of their house because somebody comes in that with a big extended family that's willing to pay more, or that the landlords are able to charge more to, right?
Do you condemn the Proud Boys, even if it's just 12, even if it's just one marching in Springfield?
Dana, I condemn all white supremacists. I'm obviously not. I'm married to a non-white person. I don't like these people, but I think that we have to keep our focus not on 12 marchers going down the street.
So my question is, will this piss off the Proud Boys, right? Well,
But on the fact that thousands of residents have had their lives destroyed.
are his weasel words working, that he can just say, I condemn any white supremacist, and then to the Proud Boys they can be like, oh well, of course you're not white supremacist, you are Western chauvinist, and you just really care about Western culture, and we all know there's nothing racist. You're not racist, you just really like white people. That's all. It's not about hate for other groups of people. It's that you really like white people. You really like Western culture.
By Kamala Harris's policy. I find this very unusual, Dana, that the American media is more interested.
Yeah, he does come off as slimy as fuck in this.
Bunch of losers.
So yeah, credit to Dana on that.
Marching down the street, then they.
Okay, you called them losers.
Kamala Harris has made these.
That's more than Donald Trump would do.
People's lives worse. I'm not talking about 12 Proud Boys. I'm talking about 40,000 residents, 40,000 constituents of mine, many of whom can't afford housing and food because of Kamala Harris's open border. That is what I want to focus the media's attention on.
Because of Republican deregulatory policy, because of Republican tax cuts for millionaires, and because of the decimation of anything resembling a social safety net in this country. That is why. Do not fucking blame those people whose lives were put in danger by American foreign policy.
We're going to keep on doing it because I think the American people deserve a government that puts their interests first. And can I make just one more final point about this, Dana?
Yes, please.
You've heard a lot of the media focusing on every possible distraction from the story in Springfield. You've heard them focus on these.
If what you want to say is that the story in Springfield is like the negative effect of immigration on people in that town, then the cat and the dog lie would fall under that rubric of a distraction. You are the one who's making that distraction. You are the one that's creating stories in order to fucking, I don't know, demonize these people.
Proud Boys marchers. You've heard just in this interview, Dana, the suggestion that because some psychopath is calling in a bomb threat, somehow we have to then ignore 40,000 Springfieldians
That's not what
who
I
are
suggested.
having their lives worsened by Kamala Harris's policies. Well, what is the implication?
The problem is you're not even attacking Kamala Harris's policies. You're attacking the people. You're attacking the Haitian migrants living there. You are demonizing them in order to get at Kamala Harris. That's the problem.
I actually love to have this conversation right now live on air.
Right.
What is the implication when you say...
It's a weird thing to say. You are having this conversation.
You calling out these problems has caused a bomb threat. You accused me of causing a bomb threat. Doesn't that mean you should shut up about the residents of Springfield? Don't you realize you're engaged in basic propaganda to silence the concerns of American citizens?
I was quoting.
You did not bring up the situation of the people in Springfield. You brought up lies about they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the geese in the park.
I was quoting the actual mayor.
You basically all but called them savages, dangerous fucking savages, and somebody should do something about these dangerous savages, so... And then somebody calls in a bomb threat. Somebody answers that call and says, okay, I will do something.
Springfield, Ohio, begging he said after...
Oh, we do have that too. Yeah, we have we'll watch that, then we'll go to Crystal Ball and Saga talking about this. Then we'll go to see what Kyle Kulinski has to say about this. This is JD Vance after, ends up attacking Crystal Ball. Kyle Kulinski, I believe, had something to say about that. And then we will go to Tyler and Sunday Chat. I apologize for being so angry about this issue, but this kind of injustice is the shit that just burns me the fuck up. It pisses me off. Like, I hate to see somebody, putting people that left their fucking country because their lives were in danger, putting their lives in danger once again. I fucking hate to see it.
the bomb threats.
And yes, I do blame JD Vance for that.
Begging federal officials, to please stop putting negative attention on his city. And I'm not talking about the policies. I'm not talking about the very real challenges that Springfield has. I'm talking about baseless rumors about Haitians eating dogs and cats. And that, after that was said on a debate stage.
So yeah, all she did is come back to this. All she did is come back to the initial question that he weaseled out of.
That is when these bomb threats started. And that is a fact. Senator, I just want to move on. I have two other quick issues separate from this that I want to talk to you about.
Dana,
go ahead.
Again,
please go ahead.
I think this is actually an important conversation.
Okay.
Look, the Springfield mayor, he's dealing with a lot of terrible things. I certainly sympathize with the guy, and we're going to try to help him out. But he did not accuse me of inciting a bomb threat. He just didn't. And if we're going to take the firsthand accounts of people who are on the ground in Springfield, why don't you bring on some of the people on your program who say that the migrants are eating their pets? You're
asking her to play Tyler Oliveira? You remember what Tyler Oliveira did? He went to Springfield, found the most methed up racist people he possibly could, and fucking gave them a platform to call the Haitians slurs. That's what apparently JD Vance would like Dana Bash to do.
Applying a double standard here. You're saying if one person accuses JD Vance, I'm going to take that person's word as the gospel truth,
you have somebody
even
whose
if you
name
misrepresent it. If you have another person who's saying they're eating the cats, you're going to completely ignore them, attack them, silence them, and harass them. That double standard is why that people don't trust the media and why we're not talking about public policy 51 days out from a presidential election.
Okay, if you have somebody you want to tell us about who has proof that somebody ate their cat, of course we want to hear that. We certainly have had no evidence that that is actually something.
The sad thing is, like, even if that happened, like placing the blame on a whole group of people for like one person. Now there was somebody who ate a cat. Let me just be clear about that to anybody in my shorts chat, right? Who might be like right now coping and seething that I'm suppressing the truth. Yes, in Canton, Ohio, hundreds of miles away from Springfield, a U.S. citizen, not a Haitian under temporary protected status, not a Haitian at all, a mentally ill person did kill and eat part of a cat, and this was captured on video. I am aware of this. I am not trying to hide that. I am not trying to sweep for that. But again, this is one person, and because she's not a member of, a group that's being currently demonized to the extent that I guess they're illegal immigrants, quote unquote, or in this case, legal immigrants are being. Nobody was like, "Yo, you got to watch out for American citizens. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. They're really dangerous. We should do something about them. We should deport the American citizens." Did you know that an American citizen ate a cat? Ate part of a cat? That's fucking sick. Let's get these people out of here. Yeah, no, we can't afford to have it. Nobody's going to do that, right? Because this isn't a group being demonized. That's the difference. That's the difference, right? We don't even think about it. Nobody even considers that of like, well, geez, people from Ohio, well, some people maybe put it on Ohio. Ohio's got a bit of a reputation, if you don't know. Ohio is the Florida of the North.
Something that happened. And I just want to say, I have not
Midwest
accused you of anything. I am quoting the mayor who said,
what do you think? Maybe Idaho is the Florida of the North?
after these bomb threats,
I feel like Idaho doesn't get enough like negative attention. Just kidding.
federal politicians are negatively
Sorry, Idaho.
our city.
I'm just teasing.
They need to know they are hurting our city. It was their words that did it. Okay? That I'm quoting him, and it seems to be a
Dana,
cause and effect.
Roll the tape. You just accused me of inciting a bomb threat. There's
Watch out for American citizens eating people's faces. I heard about that, Blue Skadoo.
no evidence of this. I condemn violence and threats of violence.
I'm glad.
We should be
JD ate a bear. I think you're thinking of RFK Jr., but I wouldn't blame you for mixing those two up. Arizona is the Florida of the Southwest. I don't doubt it.
able to do that and also still talk about what's going on.
Idaho is 100% the Florida of the North. Look, I'm not attacking everywhere. There's good people. There's good people in Idaho.
On in Springfield.
I'm glad to hear
There's also white separatists in Idaho, but
pandemic. That is very important. We had a lot of other
right.
issues to get to, but
we sure do. We have a lot of other issues. Let's take a quick look at what the mayor of Springfield had to say.
JD Vance repeat his claims about Haitian
God, Dana Bash is just on a roll here.
immigrants in Springfield, Ohio. I want to go live now to Springfield
Chad Bash.
and talk to the mayor, Rob Rue. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
We'll put this a little
We have a
faster.
lot to get to, but I want to know,
B5.
first of all, about what's going on at this time. Your schools, city buildings have been facing threats. The local college had to cancel events today. The immigrant community has been facing a lot of attacks. I want to just ask about how things are going broadly in Springfield right now.
Well, Dan, thanks for having me on. It's just obviously a very difficult time. You know, we have been shined under a spotlight that is so bright that it's hard to see some of the things that we actually need to be focusing on, and that's been difficult for sure. But you know, we're concerned about the security in our community, and we're focused on that right now.
And when you say you're concerned about the security in your community and focus on that, can you elaborate about what security threats? I mean, we know about some of the bomb threats at schools, hospitals, colleges. Is there anything else that you want to share?
We've had 3 consecutive days of threats, not to myself personally and our family, but as well as the other commissioners and some other officials. So it's, like I said, definitely a high stress time that is just really difficult to handle right now, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I'm sure. What are the nature of the threats?
Extremely negative and harmful and just extremely disruptive.
And is it specific to the allegations without evidence of eating cats and dogs? Is it more broadly about the Haitian immigrants? Can you be a little bit more specific?
Yeah, so the reason that the eating the cats and dogs is leading is because it's viral. It's viral because it appeals to people's emotions. The emotions that are being appealed to are emotions of hate and disgust, are emotions of looking at other human beings as being less than human, right? It casts, Haitian people as being, savages. It's a very old racist trope that has been responsible for a lot of death and misery and pain and suffering.
Well, I think I think just because everything is stirred up so much, people are responding according to their own way they respond, and a lot of it's unhealthy. There's real concerns with what we're dealing with here prior to this whole spotlight that's happened. And
Wait, Tyler Oliveira's girlfriend left him for what? Doing the exploitative YouTube journalism shit?
we won't deny that. There's been infrastructure strain. There has been, it's just been overwhelming at times, but we're trying as a community to lead well through this and put our arms around the situation. But what has happened in the last 3 days has caused a more significant strain on our community.
I want you to listen again to part of what JD Vance told me this morning.
My constituents have brought approximately a dozen separate concerns to me. 10 of them are verifiable and confirmable, and a couple of them I talk about because my constituents are telling me firsthand that they're seeing these things.
Mayor Rue, they're your constituents as well, and you live in the community. Do you have any confirmed reports of Haitian migrants eating dogs and cats in Springfield?
We do not. And I think you highlighted earlier on one of your interviews that, the Sheriff's Department did go back through the last 11 months, and we just have no verifiable claim that this has actually happened. We've had a complaint, it was looked into, and then we couldn't call back and reach the person that made the complaint. It would be helpful. We are boots on the ground. We are here with our constituents. The governor of the state of Ohio, Mike DeWine, recognizes and trusts the local officials to share the proper information and believes us. It would be helpful for those that are spinning Springfield into this swirl to understand that you can trust us. We are telling the truth to our community. We are not ignoring the strain that the immigration has put in our community, but we are here to try to put our arms around it and to work as peaceably as possible to have our community secure and safe and thriving and moving forward, just like we have been over the last decade. 8,000 new jobs have come to our community over the last 10 years. We are a community that comes together and works together. And these are the things that we want to talk about, Springfield to the nation, not the things that we have to keep telling the press like, hey, your pets are safe in Springfield, Ohio. They absolutely are. It's crazy I have to keep saying that.
You said people keep spinning things that aren't true. It's crazy you have to keep saying that. And you said that Mike DeWine, the governor, has been very supportive not only of this program and of the Haitians in your community, because you said that a big part of the reason they're there is because there are jobs that employers need to fill. And
Shadowfile says that. So the YouTube channel and for supporting Trump. I didn't know that.
they're filling those jobs. You didn't mention Senator.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard of Tyler Oliveira's old content as being closer to like Mr. Beast kind of stuff. That he was a very different channel way back, and then he found that this was, you know, profitable to. And again, this is how YouTube works, right? This is how algorithms work. People respond to a. People respond to things that appeal to their hopes and fears. And it's a lot easier to appeal to people's fears than to their hopes, right? And you get an emotional resonance very easily out of demonizing people that there's already a lot of bias about. And so, you know, with Tyler Oliveira, we're talking about, you know, drug addicts. We're talking about unhoused people. We're talking about migrants. And he just found this, kind of stumbled upon this formula of, and you know, then you garner an audience that wants to see this stuff, wants to see other human beings as inhuman. And, you know, you see, you know, people, it's a perverse incentive is what I'm trying to say. too many YouTubers respond to those perverse incentives.
Vance, who of course currently represents your community and your broader state in the United States Senate. Have you heard from him directly?
I have not heard from him directly. I believe somebody within his office has reached out to the city more than once. So I've not had a personal conversation with either of the candidates or Vance, and that's fine. What we do need is we need peace and rest in our community. We need to be able to focus on the concerns that we've had here and also how we are moving forward as well. You said something about Governor Mike DeWine's been supportive of the program. Governor Mike DeWine has been supportive of what we're going through and has helped us with resources, with coordinated efforts to help secure our community. As any governor in any state should be looking after the cities and their communities if there is help needed in the local municipalities.
When you were speaking to a local affiliate there this week, you said all these federal politicians that have negatively spun our city, they need to know they're hurting our city, and it was their words that did it. You heard me mention that to JD Vance, and he denied responsibility for having anything to do with the threats that you just talked about that have been going on over the last 3 days. What's your response?
So I said this earlier in another interview. It would be helpful if they understood the weight of their words and how they could harm a community like ours. Again, I say the light has been shined so brightly that it's caused people to not even see clearly. It's too bright. And so it'd be helpful to bring peace with the words that you're saying about communities like ours instead of unrest. We're listening to our constituents. We're not ignoring the problems. And we just appreciate more of a positive light for our community. Again, we're not ignoring the concerns. We just don't need such a bright light shined in our community that's causing unrest and a lack of peace.
And from what I've seen, chat, like the real place where even Tyler Oliveri's coverage showed a problem was like at the services, at the community at the government services office at the DSHS, right? You saw a huge line. I don't know if it's uncharacteristic of other places in the country, but the line was out the door. There is an issue of lack of translators there, and there is an issue of maybe there being insufficient resources for the a town that was a town of about 60,000 and now has 20,000 extra people in it, right? That is an issue of our social safety net needing to be funded higher, right? That's not an issue of bad Haitians eating pets.
Okay, and I also just want to say that the governor was on another program today, and Governor DeWine, and he said that people need to stop talking about eating dogs and cats. I'm guessing, based on what you just said, you agree with that.
100%. I mean, it's a rumor that has been debunked. It is even the person that posted the initial cat situation has said that it was not true. It was very poor taste and judgment to do it, but they admitted it.
I'm not sure if that's true. I've heard two different explanations for the source of the cat story. Right, one explanation was that it was actually a member of Blood Tribe, a literal neo-Nazi that started this rumor. He's talking about a different person, a person who, after this got going, expressed some regrets about having put that out there, and so I'm not sure which is true.
And I appreciate that.
Mayor Rue, thank you so much for coming on. I can't even imagine how difficult it is.
Let's take a look at DeWine. Again, I'm adding more.
Governor Mike DeWine of Ohio, whose state has been in the spotlight.
Sorry, she mentioned this, so
I know you are a Trump supporter.
Let's take a look.
Let's start with that poll. Donald Trump did not make any significant gains after that debate. Kamala Harris is ahead among likely voters, 52-46. Did he miss an opportunity at that debate?
So again, I haven't talked about this yet, but we are seeing Kamala pull out in front of Donald Trump beyond the margin of error. Now, that doesn't mean that she's above the margin of error in the swing state, and that's what's important. So some of the metrics that I've seen about it is that, yeah, she's ahead by 6 points in some of the newest polls, but in terms of her likelihood of winning the Electoral College, it's slightly over 50%. It's like 53%, right? Which is not what you'd expect for 6 points ahead, but that's because the race is closer in swing states, and when you're within that margin of error, then you could go up or it could go down.
Well, he's going to do well.
Sorry, I'm not saying that right. It could be, in other words, their polls are only accurate to a point. So meaning that there's only a certain degree of confidence that you're actually seeing a lead for Kamala Harris in these swing states.
Ohio, he's going to win Ohio by a big margin. That's what we're looking at, of course, in Ohio. Well, he needs to do more than that. So did he miss an opportunity in that debate?
It's got to be so wild with some of these Republicans. I don't know if Mike DeWine is one of these. I suspect maybe he is, given that he's going on here to debunk Donald Trump's lies about eating pets. But I know there are Republicans that do not like Donald Trump, but are forced to fucking glaze the guy by the capture of the party that he's achieved, by the fact that as a Republican, you are incentivized to say good things about Donald Trump, to support Donald Trump, even if you don't like him. And I know that there's like a number of Republicans that are like that. That if the situation was different and Donald Trump didn't have such a death grip on the Republican Party, they might actually speak their mind, and their mind is not in favor of Donald Trump.
Look, I think he's always better off talking about the issues that really impact Americans. I think the economy is always the most important thing. The inflation.
Okay, so pretty standard advice. Probably, maybe even what his campaign managers, his campaign people are telling him.
These are the things I think are bread and butter that he should be talking about.
And of course, you remember what he did talk about. You have said that you don't oppose the program that allowed some 15,000 Haitians to migrate there in Ohio, in Springfield, Ohio. But former President Trump and JD Vance, who you support, have doubled down on baseless claims that former President Trump made at the debate. Let's listen to that again.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
And here's a question I never thought I would have to ask, but do you see any evidence as governor of the state that Haitian immigrants are eating pets?
No, absolutely not. That's what the mayor said. That's what the chief of police has said. I think it's unfortunate that this came up. Let me tell you what we do know, though. What we know is that the Haitians who are in Springfield are legal. They came to Springfield to work. Ohio is on the move, and Springfield has really made a great resurgence with a lot of companies coming in. These Haitians came in to work for these companies. What the companies tell us is that they are very good workers. They're very happy to have them there. And frankly, that's helped the economy. Now, are there problems connected? Well, sure. When you go from a population of 58,000 and add 15,000 people onto that, you're going to have some challenges and some problems, and we're addressing those. We're working on those every single day. Primary care is essential. The other thing we're working a lot on is driving. We have Haitians who, frankly, many times have not driven before. We need to get more driver's training, and we're working on that. So these are things that we are working on. Springfield is moving forward. I've always felt that, as the governor of the state of Ohio, we want people who want to come here, who are legal, where they come from another state or another country, who want to work.
So Governor, let me...
That is really moving forward.
So bottom line is you are asking for federal help. No one was eating any pets in Springfield, Ohio. So what would you say to Donald Trump for bringing up those baseless stories? Is it responsible?
It's weird. I kept on seeing 20,000. Maybe I overstated it. Or I saw 20,000 somewhere. This graphic is showing 12 to 15,000.
For a presidential candidate, the former president of the United States, to make those baseless claims.
Look, there's a lot of garbage on the internet. And, this is a piece of garbage that was simply not true. There's no evidence of this.
But let's remember who boosted this piece of garbage, right? It was Elon Musk, first and foremost. It was JD Vance. And then it was Donald Trump in the debate, right? The reason that this piece of garbage has risen to the surface, has risen to the top of the internet, is not by accident. Those people are responsible.
At all. And look, here's what we're starting to see.
But I want you to address what you would say. Okay, but I do want you to address what you would say to Donald Trump.
Yeah. There are hate groups coming into Springfield. We don't need these hate groups. I saw a piece of literature yesterday that the mayor told me about from purportedly the KKK. Look, Springfield is a good city. They are good people. They're welcoming people. We have challenges every day. We are working on those challenges. Haitians are culturally, my wife Fran and I have seen this when we've been down in Haiti, the education is prized. So when you look at all of these things, people who want to work, people who value their kids, who value education, these are positive influences on our community in Springfield. And any comment about that otherwise, I think is hurtful and is not helpful to the city of Springfield and the people of Springfield. This is a state on the move. It's a city on the move. These Haitians can be part of this, but there are challenges. And I've talked to people at the White House. We need additional assistance. I think when you
Governor, I did let you talk there for a few minutes. I do want to go back to this. You had threats there in Springfield. Hospitals had to close. Schools had to close because of bomb threats. You are a huge supporter of JD Vance. He spread.
So yeah, he's being put in a tough place because even though he might not like Donald Trump, he's forced to support Donald Trump. He's forced to be on record of supporting Donald Trump, even though what Donald Trump is doing right now is like objectively, undeniably hurting his stay. So this guy's kind of and there's a lot of Republicans in this place, in this position, right?
This conspiracy, 11 million people saw it on X. Is there a connection between threats to your state and what President Trump said and what JD Vance is doing online?
I think these discussions about Haitians eating dogs and cats and other things needs to stop. We need to focus on what is important. What is important is that we get primary care health to everyone in a very growing city. that we do other things in regard to housing. These are kind of basic things that we need to do. We need to focus on those and not this discussion about Haitians eating dogs. It's just not helpful. And again, these people are here legally. They're here legally, and they want to work, and they are in fact working. And when you talk to the employers, what the employers tell you is, we don't know what we would do without them. They are working, and they are working very hard, and they're fitting in with our native people from Springfield who have been working in this shop or working in this manufacturing company for a long, long time. So that's what we need to focus on. And, this idea that we have hate groups coming in and this discussion just has to stop. We need to focus on moving forward and not dogs and cats being eaten. It's just ridiculous.
Also on Tuesday night, Trump refused to accept again the 2020 election results. He told false stories, as you noticed, and falsely claimed that he ordered National Guard troops, 10,000 Guard troops, on January 6th. So how do you square all of this with your support for Donald Trump? Has it softened in any way?
Look, I said before, we knew who the nominee was going to be. I would support the Republican nominee for president. I am a Republican. I think if you look at the economy issues, and these are issues that I think the American people are most concerned about.
Yeah, this is a party held hostage by Donald Trump, by the fucking hate cult that is MAGA.
Is the best choice.
So you would advise him to keep talking.
Not that the Republican Party was great before, but
talking about that and not pets in Ohio.
I think you have to talk about things that people really care about and the things that are important and things that a president can have a real impact. Now, he can also talk about, and of course he does, and both candidates do, all four candidates do, about immigration. Look, these are legitimate problems that we have on the border. I'm not minimizing that at all. And those are legitimate arguments where the vast majority of the American people agree with Donald Trump.
So yeah, he's trying to recenter this on illegal immigration rather than on the legal. And we're not even talking about immigration here. We're talking about temporary protected status. That is a status that is bestowed on people during a time of great crisis in Haiti that can and probably will be, rescinded at some point. I mean, it sort of depends on who's in the White House at the time, but most likely even with Kamala Harris or whoever, it'll still be rescinded. Anyway, that is the Mike DeWine. We got the JD Vance. We're getting back to the playlist here. And now we're gonna.
Vice President Kamala
All
Harris
right.
and former President Donald Trump are the bystander.
And so again, chat. Apologies for getting so angry and yelling and like I know that I'm sure it makes some people uncomfortable, but just like injustice like this really pisses me off, and I hate seeing it, and it just triggers that response. So. Again, apologies. Let's take a look before we get into this JD Vance and we're going to get into JD Vance versus Crystal Ball next. Before we get into this, I want to take a look again at our dono goal. It has not moved forward, I don't believe. So we're still at 4%. Let's see what people are voting for. It looks like 43% of you want to see Jill Stein versus AOC. That's on the Breakfast Club. 29% of you are interested in breathing into your balls or breathing into other people's balls, possibly. 17% of you are saying AJW, that's actual justice warrior, simping for Anna Kasparian, and 12%, only 12% want to see Lauren Chen's cringeworthy stand-up. That is me reading the Shorts poll. That's what the Shorts voters are voting for. Over on the full scale stream, we've got 43% for Jill Stein versus AOC, 33% for breathing through their balls, other people, somebody's balls, 15% for AJW, simps for Anna Kasparian, and 9%. So it's like the same exact order. We got people, in different proportions voting for the topics. These are bonus topics that we can see after the stream. I'm going to cover the JD Vance versus Crystal Ball thing. We're going to see what Kyle Kulinski has to say about that. And then we're going to go into taking a look at what's gone on today between President Sunday and Westside Tyler. And if we have hit the bonus goal, which we are 96% away from at the moment, right? Because whenever I cover the news, people just kind of zone out. But we're 96% away from the dono goal. Oh, it looks like there's a few people who's. Oh wait, no, that's right. So if we hit that 100% miraculously somehow.
Troy Hewitt, super chatted $10. Breathing into your balls.
Breathing into your balls.
This is not necessarily a vote for balls. It's just fun to say.
Wait. This is not a vote for balls. What is it a vote for then? I mean, I guess you don't have to vote, right? But just know that when you do donate, you can. So vote in the on the YouTube polls, right? because I will take those into consideration. I'm also going to potentially add percentages when people donate. You have the right, not the responsibility. You don't have to do it, but you have the right to tell me where you want me to put your donation, and I will add it as a percentage to the topic of your choice, and you will help that topic win the day. And but I guess that one's not a endorsement of the breathing through your balls topic. Yeah, breathing through the. So it's a joke. That's nuts. Okay, but yeah, when you donate, feel free to let me know which of these topics you want to see as the bonus topic of the stream, and I will put your money where your mouth is, and it'll make it more likely that the topic of your choice actually wins. But thank you, Troy Hewitt, for the generous super chat. I failed to see the education part. Education? Sorry? Did we say education here? These are bonus topics, right? Look, we do the education during the stream. I'm giving you the news of the day right now. This news being about JD Vance and the attempt to demonize Haitian immigrants as eating cats and dogs, etc. We're going to cover that. Then we're going to have a little bit of drama, a little bit of streamer drama. Not me involved in this one. This is President Sunday and Westside Tyler. And then we're going to do something even more socially irresponsible by possibly getting into breathing into your balls. You could also choose Jill Stein versus AOC on the Breakfast Club. There's a little blow up. There's a little fight between Jill Stein and AOC, so we can see what that's about. We've also got actual Justice Warrior, cringily simping for Anna Kasparian, and Lauren Chen's cringeworthy stand-up comedy, if that's what you want to call it. But those are the options, and when you donate, just make sure to let me know in the chat which of these topics you want to see next. Actually, YouTube Shorts, you're doing pretty well today. You are beating the full-scale stream. That's kind of wild. Let's take a look and see what's going on here between JD Vance and Crystal Ball, and I'll keep an eye on the poll as we go along. I'll keep an eye on the donations. And did we ever get Troy Vance? Did you ever say which one of these you want to see as which is your choice? You don't have to, but you can. You could also say what is the other option? The other option is saying Vox Populi. If you just want the poll to be the thing that counts, and you want to like de-emphasize the bonus that comes from. So I don't put 10% into breathing into your balls. That stays at 0 until Troy Hewitt tells me differently. Until Troy Hewitt says differently, I won't add that. But yeah, let's get back into the content once again. And yo, what is up with Troy Hewitt re-upping your membership? Yeah, Shorts chat is kicking ass. 4 months. Balls out for Last of Men. Wait, what is Last of Men saying? I didn't see this. What's going on in chat here? Yeah, failed to see the education part. I'm not. Hopefully I read I interpreted your comment correctly. NCC is plenty. I'm fairly educational, I guess. You were getting a free education. Yeah, I probably misunderstood what you were saying. Apologies, Last of Men. I didn't mean to mischaracterize what you're saying, but that does bring the donus goal. The dono goal, or the bonus content, up to 17%. We're almost at 20%. I mean, it could happen tonight. I don't know, chat. We'll see. We'll see if it happens. Well, let's get back to this Crystal Ball versus. Let's see what Crystal Ball versus JD Vance is all about, and then we'll see what's going on with Tyler and Sunday today.
You're the senator from Ohio, so instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing.
But I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb.
I know chat doesn't want me to bitch about audio, but I want to bitch about audio. Breaking points, fix your audio.
Threats and so forth.
You're over compressing this shit.
The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Or it might be a limiter. I don't know. Is there something really wrong with your audio?
What happened after you and President Trump were on the debate stage, said that cats and dogs were being eaten.
You asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it. If I have to create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana.
If I have to create stories, he says, to get people to pay attention to this, then that's what I'm going to do. It seems like a pretty extraordinary admission, Zed.
Yeah, and I think if you watch the rest of the clip and what he's talking about, basically he substantiates that by saying that he has had constituents call in saying they've heard rumors about other people's pets, being taken, so on and so forth. So, we would use those calls to create the story to draw attention to this legitimate issue. I mean, the problem with that is, you're a U.S. senator, right? You're not someone trolling Facebook for rumors. You're not taking information that hasn't been substantiated by anyone, whether it be a reporter, whether it be police or local officials or even local NGO. You have to be responsible with that.
Yeah, I swear it's like sticking my head in a tin can every time I listen to Breaking Points' audio.
How you respond to those things, right? And
it's not as bad as Riley Grace Rochong.
Is not one person in that town has stepped forward and said my dog or my cat was eaten by somebody. By a Haitian person or anyone else for that matter, because then you would end up filing a police report. There would be a press story about it, and they would catch whoever was responsible. They would make an arrest, so on and so forth. The way that these urban legends spread through communities is usually that somebody says, "Oh, my neighbor lost their cat." It could have been a coyote, but could have also been an immigrant. And someone posted on Facebook, and people say, "Oh, the Haitians are eating cats." I've heard that. Oh, you've heard that. We've all heard that. Over the weekend, I heard that 40 years ago in the Atlanta area where I live, when Koreans were moving in, there were rumors about cats.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about this, right? Is it's strangely reminiscent of like anti-Asian tropes from an earlier time. I remember like older relatives of mine, eating at Chinese restaurants and joking about dogs and cats disappearing in the alleyway, right? This kind of racism was really accepted apparently back in their day, and my parents would like cover our ears and be like, don't say that around my kids. I don't want you making my kids racist.
Disappearing, right? Because in Korea, dogs in the Far East is probably the only place in the world where there is some common accepted practice of eating cats and dogs, even though it's not that common among the people, and it's kind of falling out of fashion for a lot of people. And it's actually almost impossible to find a Korean American or Chinese American who would do that here in the United States. But that's how these rumors spread and start, right? And I think, if Vance and Trump want to know how politically salient it is that they're doing this, YouGov did a poll where they found only 9% of Americans think it's definitely true, right? So for the first time, the Republicans are an immigration debate in the past 3 years, right? So was it really the best in the world?
Seriously, 9%? That's who believes that eating the cats, eating the dogs. I would have thought I would have been higher. I'm pleasantly surprised.
To rely on Facebook rumors here.
Well, Zed, you got tangled a little bit with the vice presidential candidate. B2B, please, guys, let's put it up there on the screen. Zed, you tweeted this. Springfield was declining for years until they saw an increase in jobs and growth driven by people moving in. That means more wealth, healthier budgets. Are there no upsides to immigration in your view? What about Usha's parents? Should they have stayed in India? JD replies to you, dude, I've always liked you, so maybe this should be a longer conversation. But come on, are there no upsides to immigration? Is a radically different question from should we drop 20,000 people from a radically different culture in a small Ohio town in a matter of years. He goes on significantly, but consider if he were here today, what would you say to him?
Well, look, I actually relate a lot to JD in some ways, right? We have a similar life story in a few different ways. I mean, for one, I think that some of what he's voicing is probably his actual view, right? I mean, they're all politicians. They're all trying to win an electoral race. But I think that his life's trajectory kind of suggests that maybe he really seems to believe what he's saying. He's someone who grew up in a town where I think his parents, and particularly his grandparents, were from a culture or subculture that he saw was dying. I think.
Oh, my God.
He analyzed that in sort of a personal way, right? He was kind of letting out his trauma or his childhood experiences. He kind of blamed the people around him. He blamed kind of culture.
Yes.
Yes. Out of the system, I think over the next few years after that, he started to look at it in a more sociological way, right? He said, well, why were these people engaged in these counterproductive, habits and cultures? Maybe, there's these larger problems with globalization, with job flight, with the.
So yeah, that's the wild thing. He gets credit for hillbilly elegy as if it's some kind of I don't know, like it's if it's some kind of like love letter to Appalachian culture instead of what it actually is, which is demonizing in a much of a lesser way than this kind of stuff, right? But it is. He talks about like the Mountain Dew mouth that is, a lot of people had bad teeth in the area, and sort of blames it on, well, yeah, it's because they drink Mountain Dew. It's because they drink sodas. It's their own fault, right? It's their own behavior, right? They need to live better instead of like really looking at into it and saying. This is a lack of access to medical care, in specifics, and specifically a lack of access to dental care.
Drugs and counterproductive materials and
yeah, the meth thing too. I mean, that would be another.
I think he started to make more of a political analysis about it, where he sees himself as representing those people in part.
Yeah, like blaming, so his book, if you read it, there is a lot of blame that seems to be directed at people in the Appalachian region for doing things like meth, right? That will also negatively impact, somebody's teeth. But, the blaming the people in the area for that, right? And implying that, well, they just need to like pull themselves up by their bootstraps rather than looking at how Appalachia has been the subject of a lot of economic deprivation and maybe insufficient social programs that would have helped with stuff like that. I mean, that's the flavor of Appalachia, of hillbilly elegy, right? A lot of people, especially liberals, right? This is the whole thing that people don't understand about JD Vance. When he came out, as a when he first started running for president, he was a Republican, but he was a never Trump Republican. He was a very centrist, liberal Republican, and he would come on NPR. He was beloved by liberals for telling these sort of stories about Appalachia that sort of amount to something similar, I guess, to Tyler Oliveira. This being exploitation, or kind of misery tourism. Something that liberals will read and be like, gosh, I'm glad that I didn't grow up like that, rather than understanding the people in the area, understanding the situation there, and having some compassion, right? So yeah, it's not a positive thing, and definitely doesn't connect him to the areas as much as it's him exploiting the area, and implying that he is great for having risen above his humble beginnings, right? That's an insult to everybody that you supposedly grew up with. Now, in reality, and I've told you this before, JD Vance didn't exactly grow up in Appalachia. JD Vance grew up in, suburban Ohio, and he it's a lot of stolen valor, or as I like to call it, stolen holler. If you know the Appalachian reference there, of somebody that only had sort of cursory experiences in Appalachia.
Part of what he did is, he moved back from the Bay Area. He had gone to Yale Law School, made money out on the West Coast. He moved back to Ohio. And he
thank you. Narwhal by Nature says poverty porn. Yeah, that's what I was going for.
Tried to say, I need to represent those people. I need to be a voice for them. And look, I mean, it's not that similar of a story for me in many ways. I was born and raised outside of Atlanta. I went to DC for a long time. And eventually I felt the calling to come home. And so I came back here, a couple of years ago. And, a lot of people I grew up around were white folks, and a little bit poor and working class places like Mableton, where I was born. And, a lot of them flew the rebel flag, right? But also my parents were immigrants. So, I knew Indians and Nigerians and Mexicans and people from all kinds of backgrounds growing up. And, you could say those are different groups of people. But there's something all those groups share in common. And I want JD to hear this, is that
Luce Cadu says the Appalachian people were purposefully undereducated and underserved to force them into cheap mine and factory work. True. Yeah. Exploited.
people look down.
Absolutely.
People say, they're poor, they're uneducated, they're backwards, they follow weird customs, culture, traditions, and religions. They're always going to be in that station. But everyone I knew, from white folks flying the Confederate flag to African Americans to all these, migrants and immigrants who were coming into the area, all of them were working to try to improve themselves and better their families, right? And I think when JD makes arguments about, housing prices or about, logistical issues, traffic, healthcare costs, so on and so forth, those are all fair things to say about the growing pains of immigration. I mean, those happen in every circumstance where large numbers of people.
Well, the whole thing of the association with poverty, between poverty and flying the Confederate flag, as if it somehow excuses the, neo-Confederate vibes, right? I find kind of troubling, right? Not everybody who grew up in those conditions is racist. That being said, improving people's material conditions, Democrats doing what Democrats used to do in the New Deal era would actually maybe alleviate some of that, would make that kind of stuff less appealing, right? So, you don't need to sort of cut people, a break for endorsing racism, but you also have to understand that you can lessen the effect, lessen the appeal of stuff like that by actually doing what Democrats used to do. Now, that being said, I don't think it's sufficient, right? If you look at I always talk about this, you go back to the New Deal era, I think a mistake was made by thinking that you could reform your way into an equitable, into a fair, situation, which isn't really focused on fairness as much as it's focused on sufficiency, right? Those social safety nets that were put in place were put in place not to bring, about equity, but to bring about sufficiency, and you still keep, you still maintain the practice of accumulation, of capitalist accumulation, with those kind of regiments, with that kind of Keynesian economics, albeit at a lower level. But what working people actually need is leverage. What working people actually need is power, and that comes from something a little bit stronger than the Democratic Party or Nordic democratic socialism or anything like that.
It's happening in Metro Atlanta and in Cobb County right now, where I grew up. I mean, those are largely not even immigrants from the rest of the world; they're from the rest of the country, though. And we're having issues with transit, with traffic, with infrastructure, so on and so forth. Those are all fair points to make. But I think when he starts making it a cultural argument, I think in some of his tweets, he talked about how people are from a very different culture, right? And I think that allays into what he's talking about with the animals and the pets. It's kind of suggesting that these are kind of like an alien group of folks. They're not compatible with us here in the United States, that they somehow have some kind of inferior or backwards attitude. And look, that's JD, that's exactly how people talk about your ancestors, about Scots-Irish, right? Like, where's the term cracker come from in the U.S. context? It was a term used to derogate poor people, Scots-Irish, largely in the South, who were seen as just following alien customs. They were ill-tempered. They were quick to fight with each other. They were very backwards, and they could never make anything of themselves. Of course, that's wrong, JD, because you're a U.S. senator now. You went to Yale Law School, but when you were growing up, I'm sure plenty of people looked down upon you. And they said that you're just you're white trash. You're backwards. Your family's all messed up. They could list a million different ways of things that were wrong, but you knew that you were worth more than that, right? And I think that's a lot of what I would say about these people. They're you can't judge them, I think, in this way that kind of makes them in this category where they're never going to make anything of themselves, because the reality is, look, Haitians have been in the U.S. in large numbers since probably the 1960s. There's like 500,000 Haitian Americans in Florida, right? And I don't think Florida Republicans are going to be quick to demonize those people, because it would be politically toxic for them to do so. And I don't think it's going to be any different from these people moving into Springfield, right? Springfield was losing population for a number of years, right? I went to grad school up in Syracuse. I was there for 12 months to do my master's. Syracuse and a lot of those upstate New York towns, all those Rust Belt towns, deindustrialized towns, were in a death spiral because people moving out meant that you had not only fewer jobs, but you also had less tax revenue, right? Meaning they couldn't fund services, meaning that they couldn't keep a lot of the city going as people continued to move out. So they were constantly trying to get people to move in. And that's what Springfield did around 2014. They started a campaign and said, hey, people need to move here, along with a bunch of other towns in Ohio, by the way. And they found some success by having people from the rest of the country, people from other countries start moving into Springfield, start taking jobs, start working, providing revenue, economic growth. I mean, look, it's true that a lot of big employers and big business want immigrants to come to the country to loosen the labor market, sometimes to lower wages, to give them more of an affordable deal. But that doesn't really mean that in every circumstance possible, immigrants are bad for your community or bad for your country, right? And a place that's dying, that needs people to come back, it needs people to come from anywhere to come there and develop and start actually, not only bring new jobs, but also tax revenue, new construction, housing, so on and so forth. It's not really a bad thing to have people moving there and actually rejuvenate the place. And of course, there'll be growing pains in doing that. But a mature way to respond to that would be to go to that community, understand their needs, and talk it out rationally, right? Rather than turning it into a giant political circus that has, unfortunately, now these racial overtones.
Yeah. Zed, your response was very compelling and also very diplomatic.
But not as compelling as the top of the hour ad break. That's extremely compelling, because that when it gets around the top of the hour, that it is put up or shut up time. And that is put up a sub or shut up and watch 3 minutes of ads that are unskippable, right? They are skippable, though, possibly, right? In ways that you might not even know. Like if you have Prime, you can skip those ads for free by using it for a Twitch Prime sub, which you can use to no longer see the ads on any channel on Twitch, including mine. You can also possibly, for this month only, not possibly, but definitely, if you're on desktop, you can get a sub at 25% off right now. It's September, so they've got like that cheaper price. It's actually a really good time to kind of to get yourself a sub or multiple subs. I think you can buy multiple months if you want to at the lower rate during this month only. You could also possibly be gifted a sub, although that sort of thing, when it does happen, it's more likely to happen to you if you're active in the chat.
Mine was a little less, so I can put it up on the screen. What JD said to you,
That is germane to Twitch, right? That's for Twitch. Don't worry about that if you're on YouTube. On YouTube, you can skip your ads. Yeah, I mean, they play for like, 5 seconds, and you press skip, so.
It irritated me, because now that he's provoked this whole, outrageous racial panic, he wants to say, oh, let's have a nuanced conversation about housing, which is my point here. I said, when you insist on spreading neo-Nazi fuel.
Okay, so she got into it with him on Twitter as well.
Smears about immigrants, which these pet cat dog lies were fueled by literal neo-Nazis, leading to bomb threats, kind of closes the space for this intellectual discussion about pluses and minuses of immigration that you're now retreating to. Dude, he didn't like that very much. He says, Crystal Ball, I really hate neoliberalism. I'm a populist. Also, Crystal Ball, anyone who doesn't think 20,000 cheap laborers should be dropped on a small Ohio town is a neo-Nazi, which is not what I said. But in any case, I would also say someone who has a 0% voting record with the AFL-CIO and who owes his position in significant part to a billionaire backer maybe doesn't really have a lot of leg to stand on.
That being Peter Thiel.
With regard to populism. But putting that aside, Zed, I'll bring you in for the diplomatic response here. When you lead with the very racial angle that's just about culture, and is also
they were Crystal responded to JD, and he responded back saying that she was calling anybody who doesn't want 20,000 immigrants dropped on Springfield, Ohio, a neo-Nazi. So pretty bad faith.
Just a total lie. and not about any of these more legitimate topics of conversation, I don't think that helps enable that broader, more nuanced, potential theoretical conversation that he now wants to have after initially starting this panic.
Yeah, I mean,
So his whole thing is he's basically treating this like a takemeister. Chad, you know what a takemeister is? It's something that debate streamers do. Vosh is like famous for this, right? He comes out, he says something designed to piss people off, right? It's a hot take that is designed to get somebody to say, hey, I want to debate you on that. I disagree with you, right? And then Vosh pulls you into Discord, brings you into the debate, and then he kind of weasels out of what he initially said, right? He's used language in a very specific way so that he's able to kind of like take that language and redefine what he means into something more defensible. This is also called the Mott and Bailey technique, right? Where the Mott is the initial statement, the provocative statement that sounds wrong on the face of it. And the Bailey is what the weasel retreats to when the incorrectness of the initial statement is pointed out. I call it a takemeister, right? I don't need to. I don't want to use boomer terms like Mott and Bailey, and I don't think anybody knows what a Mott and Bailey is anymore. I just say takemeister, right? For that. But yeah, this is kind of what he's characterized this as, and I actually don't think it's a takemeister. Right? It's not the same thing. It's different things that they're saying. They're eating the cats and the dogs is different than, immigration impacts, which I still don't agree with. Blaming immigrants for the precarious position, the precarious state of existence of the American worker. I blame the capital class, not the immigrant. The capital class would much rather have American workers, American citizens who are workers fight with immigrants and demonize them and have all their attention focused on that rather than have them focused on, well, who's actually exploiting both of us? Like, who's giving both of us this raw deal? Oh, it's you, the capitalist, right? The capitalists would much rather have us fighting each other like a bucket of crabs rather than reaching our claws up to pinch them instead. Pinch them in the balls right there. Bow, 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 bow. So, yeah, that's why I don't think it is. I think he's being a weasel. He's being even more of a weasel than Vosh is with his takemeisters. This isn't even a takemeister. This is not a Mott and Bailey. This is JD Vance just fucking lying. He's literally lying. What a weasel.
I think that's exactly right. Like, look, if someone was trying to talk about
Luskadoo, thank you for following me on Twitch.
Israel, this is a topic that's been all over the news the past almost a year now. And they started with an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, right? They can't really fall back and say, well, look, I just want to have a conversation about foreign policy.
Yeah, that's a great point.
You need to be careful about how you engage in these things. And I think this is something the Republicans are learning because, like I said, this is probably the first time during the Biden administration that they're really losing an immigration debate where they said something that people just don't believe, that make them look, like they're trying to start some kind of racial or cultural conflict rather than deal with the very real challenges of, I think.
That's what I said during the debate. That's what I said was that this is like the worst way for Trump, for Vance, and for the racists trying to demonize Haitian migrants to bring the immigration issue actually into the public view, right? It does get attention. It did, bang on Twitter. Elon retweeted everybody who had something to say about that. But when you bring it out in a debate like Donald Trump did, which just to remind us, what did Donald Trump say again? In case some of us might have forgotten.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
Yeah, I mean, it will never stop being a banger.
I think, increasing levels of immigration. And at the same time, I want to say something about, he questioned your posture as a populist. I mean, the reality is that the history of populism in the United States and to some extent elsewhere, but I know more about the United States, is that when we develop these kind of us versus them frames, immigration and race and culture does get drawn into that at times, right? So like I'm reading this book about Tom Watson. Tom Watson was this great, Georgia populist, right? And the first half of his life, he was fighting against convict leasing, which was like 90% black in Georgia, which is like slavery by another name, used by many of the richest and wealthiest politicians in Georgia to undercut wages and also just to expose prisoners to brutal conditions. I mean, far worse than prison labor today. I mean, it basically was slavery. But in the second half of his life, he became basically an outright white nationalist, right? And he was against African Americans and so on and so forth. I mean, this is a guy who went from organizing bands of men to protect blacks from lynching to advocating for those very same things in the second half of his life. And like that was all part of the populist tradition in Georgia, right? You could mobilize people against the landed gentry and like the big farms and being agrarian populist, but also you could say, hey, we have a white interest against black folks, against Jews, Catholics, so on and so forth. And I think, Vance needs to consider that trajectory for his own life, right? Does he want to fall into that kind of dark side of populism? Does he want to be...
Okay, I gotta be honest, they're giving him way too much credit. They're giving him way too much credit. Yo, bro is like running with Donald Trump, a guy that he once said that he was worried might be an American Hitler, right? The dude has already gone over to the dark side. This is like I don't know if Anakin realizes throwing in his lot with Emperor Palpatine might actually not be in his interest overall, right? This might be like this isn't really this wasn't how you were brought up, Anakin. Remember what you learned from Ben Kenobi and Qui-Gon, right? It's just like, no, dude, he's fucking Darth Vader. Come on, realize it before he chops you down with his lightsaber. He's not a good guy.
I mean, questioning illegal immigration, talking about border security, all those things are valid. And that's always going to be a case. It's always been the case in American politics that those things are hot button topics. Republican Party in particular has always been very active in talking about them. But when it comes to actually suggesting that, this latest wave of immigrants, whoever coming to the United States, in the case of the Haitians, they are legal. They have legal status under TPS, that they're somehow incompatible with our values, with our culture. At that point, you're kind of chopping up people who are just trying to work and get by and pitting them against each other, right? And, you want to talk about big employers and what they do to
Wow, great minds think alike. Said
undercut wages and why they advocate for looser immigration. That's all fair and good. But once we start, having a conflict between people from varying ethnicities and ancestries and cultures, I mean, look, one of Donald Trump's worst moments on the debate stage is when he stood up there and said he didn't have a healthcare plan. He had a concept of a healthcare plan. Yeah. Somewhere in this country right now, a husband and wife are talking about how they can't afford, a life-saving procedure, or how they're facing bankruptcy and tears are streaming down their face. I mean, JD, spend a little bit of time talking to your boss about how he's going to address that problem. I mean, there's so many problems you can address in this country without pitting, the latest poor guy who arrived on our shores is just trying to make a business for himself and a life for himself and a family in Ohio, right, against another person who's also trying to do that, right? And that happens to be the case in Springfield.
So Zed, let me push you a little bit, and let's think about this. Donald Trump passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. He abandoned a lot of the so-called economic policy that he ran on, if he ever believed it in the first place, and he got 10 million more votes. And in fact, if you look at a lot of the political science research on immigration and others, some of the people who vote for him on immigration don't care about the economic concern. So maybe in an era, I mean, Crystal and I just had a massive debate on this, maybe in an era of rapid demographic change, the cultural argument is actually the one that resonates the most with people. So, I mean, you may think it's immoral or you may think it's wrong, but what?
You may think I'm racist, or no, like in this case, support, it doesn't even matter. Like supporting racism, enabling fascism, right? You may think this is a very dark era of American history. You may think that this is some bullshit. Bro is literally making an argument for fascism. Do you want fascism? That's how you get it. Starts with demonizing the other. Starts with talking about the real Americans. We got to keep America for Americans. We got to do America first, right? It's so...
What is your confidence that it is the political loser that you believe it to be?
Look, I think it probably depends on where and when you're talking about, particularly in Europe. I think that there is and actually I'm going to write a story about this. There was a good paper on it. There is a representation gap between public officials and the general public. The general public does think immigration is happening too quickly. The pace of change is too rapid. And they tend to, I think most of their backlash is about culture. Eric Kaufman, who's a kind of a political scientist, a little bit conservative leaning, but very fair and honest, has said that in the survey work, that's what they find. It's not really about economics, not about logistics. It's about culture. People think their culture is being replaced or under attack and that it's dwindling compared to some kind of foreign culture, which they don't really like or understand. That's particularly the case in Europe. In the United States, some of the immigration backlash, probably most of the immigration backlash, honestly, is dealing with those factors. But I don't think it really shows up as a political winner overall. I don't think there's a ton of evidence that Americans believe that their culture overall is being overwhelmed or somehow subsumed or replaced by foreign cultures. Not just because there's a different nature in the nature of the countries, right? The United States is not founded on ethnicity. It's not founded on one religion or creed, really. It's founded more based on, there was a set of Northern Europe.
Look, because of the inability of politicians to, face the truth of climate change with courage and actually do something about it, we are going to have massive displacement of people from the equatorial regions to the non-equatorial regions. So there's going to be immigration, right? The moment we're talking about Haiti, this is driven by political instability. Venezuela, this is driven by United States foreign policy in terms of Donald Trump increasing the sanctions on that country. You could there's a lot of other examples you could go to as well, right? But going forward, more and more, it's going to be things like the countries in the equatorial South are going to become more and more uninhabitable, and people are going to look for a place to go for a refuge. Now, why are they uninhabitable? Because of the policies of the countries in the northern hemisphere, mainly, right? The policies of the United States and Western Europe and China, etc., right? And so Sagar's opinion is just gross, right? Because it's embracing, well, maybe the new, the new consensus is going to be, we just want to keep these immigrants out because we want to keep our culture for our culture. We don't want to have our culture diluted by other people coming in here. We want to be a little bit of a Western chauvinist. You're making Proud Boy arguments, Sagar. You're making Proud Boy arguments, right? And it almost does, like I said earlier, racism, but it almost doesn't matter if, Sagar or anybody else is actually like embracing racism proper, or if they're just embracing this fucking cultural argument that it really, I would say, it hides behind, right? The net result is the same. And it's unfairness. And it's misery. And it is not what the human species needs to be doing to survive in this new dystopic world that we're creating for ourselves.
Europeans or WASPs who founded the U.S., but each wave of immigrants who came in, successfully assimilated, and while at the same time somewhat changing the culture at a pace and rate that I think has generally been accepted by Americans. You mentioned, for instance, that like Trump increased his minority votes, but I think part of that also is in 2020 he barely talked about immigration relative to 2016. I think he had shifted to other issues. I think things like him railing against COVID lockdowns probably appealed to a lot of people who maybe don't really particularly mind immigration, don't particularly mind a more diverse culture in some ways, but maybe were aggravated by democratic, bureaucratic demands in one way, shape, or form. I do think, Sagar, what you're describing probably is very powerful in the Republican Party at this moment. I think a lot of them probably would crack down even on legal migration, which I think is part of their complaint.
Breadbro says also culture isn't even being replaced. I keep hearing it, and it is a great replacement argument, really. Like is what we keep hearing in a maybe sometimes in a watered down forum, maybe with a like more sort of civility, framed with a little bit more civility, but it's the same shit.
About the Haitians and about TPS, but I'm not so sure it's such a winner overall. Like, I'll give you an example. My governor here in Georgia, Brian Kemp, like, he made a point to go and campaign before first and second generation immigrant communities. So like he went to a Diwali event outside Global Mall, which is this big like, South Asian, Indian, and Pakistani shopping center in Georgia. And I don't think he said anything beyond, condemning illegal immigration, the same rote things as everyone else. And the guy's sitting on a 61 or 63% approval rating. And I think John Ossoff probably lays awake at night hoping the NRSC does not recruit him for Senate, because
Heavy Cliff says American culture is an oxymoron. Yeah.
A state like Georgia, Old South, used to be a cradle of the Confederacy, is also a state that's rapidly changing. And yet, you go to a small town. I do improv comedy in a small town that voted 75% for Trump. And yet, every street corner is an immigrant. There's a Hispanic festival happening. Half my team is Asian or Black, right? Like, that's a Republican county that I'm in, right? Like, yeah. I think for the most part, people in this country are accepting of those things. And the people in the middle, what they don't like is lawlessness. They don't like chaos. They don't like border towns being overwhelmed and then people being...
Okay, so... I don't know where he's going with this, but there's not more crime. There's not more crime. And the crime that exists is not being driven by immigration. Undocumented people commit crime at a much lower level than American citizens. That's it's just it's a non sequitur.
shipped this way or that way, and they feel like disorderly, right? Like people are being put upon. I think that's what they dislike. But America's one of the last countries on earth. I think we're going to get away with this argument that, like, you know, you can't have anybody but WASPs in the country. We're not that kind of people. That's not. I don't think that really gets to who we are as Americans. And that's where JD, I think, is making a political misstep here. And even if he feels that way, look, dude, like this country is going to be like 60 to 70% white for your entire lifetime, dude. You got to get people to have more babies. White folks got to have more babies. It's not my fault. They're not having more babies. I think even JD has said this at one point, that they need to have more kids. So like work on family policy to get that achieved. But you don't have to worry about being, you know, your culture being wiped out. I'm less than 1% of the country. My culture is very strong. Our families are very strong. I feel very secure in it. But that's partly on me, right? It's partly about how I engage to preserve my traditions and my culture. And you know, I think JD has every right to do that with his family lineage going back to Eastern Kentucky.
Zed, to bolster your point, you know, you made the point about the Republican governor of Georgia, the Republican governor of Ohio also came out and said basically like, stop doing this, you know, stop doing what you're doing. And he also is, you know, quite popular in the state of Ohio, won election handily last time, you know, actually outperformed JD Vance by quite a significant margin. I think he also didn't have as strong as an opponent as JD.
Wait, he's an improv comedian? Are you talking about Zed, Davy?
Vance. But to bolster your point about the politics of this, put B3 up on the screen. It's not just some of the aspects that you point to that I think Americans don't like. I think they also don't.
Yeah, look, when I think about WASPs having more babies, I think about, you know, trad wives and weird dominionist Christian nationalists, right? That's who's talking about having more white babies. And you know, come on, like, that's how close is that to the 14 words? That's like
being lied to. And overwhelming majority of Americans, you know, huge gap between those who think that this is true and those who think that it is false. So,
oh wow, what is this? Total. Do you think the following statement is true? Haitian immigrants are abducting and eating pets and dogs and cats. So we got 26% says true, 54% says false. That means, let me do some math here. 60. So 20% of people are like, I don't know, maybe they're eating the cats, maybe they're eating the dogs, but still, you know, it's a solid majority. Trump voters, you got a slight majority saying yes, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. You got 25% that say no, they're not eating the cats, eating the dogs, and like another quarter that's like, I don't know, maybe they're eating the cats, maybe they're eating the dogs. Harris voters, it's 4% to 88%. Wow, men, 31%. Of y'all think that they're eating the cats and eating the dogs. 54% of you say no. Women, a little bit less people endorsing that, but still the same people, same number saying no, just about. Interesting.
A majority, 54% say this is false, 26% say that it is true. A majority of Trump voters do buy the Haitian pet lie. Effectively, no Harris voters buy it. And then the independents, it was, you know, quite lopsided.
Yeah, that's a huge difference right there.
In favor of no, this is a lie. If you look at men, 54% say it's a lie. If you look at women, 55% say it's a lie. So yes, within the Republican base, they buy whatever it is that Trump wants to sell them, but they're already voting for Donald Trump. And more of those, you know, swing voters, independents, et cetera, they see pretty clearly through the game that they're playing here.
Oh my God, you know what this tells me? Men are like 60% as gullible as Trump voters. I don't know. Yeah, it's just like men are just like slightly more gullible, just slightly easier to just fucking straight up lie to.
Yeah, and look, I think that I'm not someone who's saying that like any skepticism towards immigration, particularly when we're talking about the lawlessness that happens, you know, at the border with drugs and crime and guns and gangs and so on and so forth, it should be taboo. Obviously, it should not be taboo. And I think when you do the same polls of Americans about those issues, they're very concerned about it. And it's a perfectly legitimate thing for the Republicans to address and bring up that Biden has failed to handle a lot of that properly and create a more orderly immigration system. I think where they're like you said, I think where they're really kind of falling off is by creating this kind of cultural conflict between saying, you know, like, okay, I'll give you guys an example, like Douglas Murray, right? He's like this kind of posh right-wing British commentator. You know, after there were some riots in the UK,
supporter, but
right, very much so. After there were some riots in the UK, there was a stabbing. Actually, I think it was by an African migrant who was of Christian background. For some reason, someone spread a rumor it was Muslim. So there were all these riots aimed at mosques and the Muslim communities. And then Murray comes up and says, "Look, this is the result of you know, you don't let us talk about immigration. What do you expect? Blah blah blah." And it's like, dude, every election in the West, particularly in Europe, for the past like 10 years has been about immigration. It's constantly all over the news, Daily Mail, so on.
It's so weird, yeah. When JD Vance said this, right, where you're not going to let us, so I'm not allowed to talk about immigration. No, motherfucker, you're talking about it right now. You're talking about it right now. Cops are not coming to your house, You're not being sent to a gulag. Nobody's, beating your ass in the street for it. Yeah, you're allowed to do it. That doesn't mean I'm not allowed to call you an asshole for doing it.
So forth. But I think really what he means, the frustration he's feeling, is you can't just say that, why don't we just keep our countries white, right? Like that's
who are the Harris voters? They're that are endorsing the eating the dogs, eating the cats.
Probably what he feels.
And I would hope that they're shit posters that are shit posting in a poll. I don't know.
I think that there is a faction in the Republican Party who feels that way. But my counter to that is that faction, I think, is very online. Like they tend to be people who have prestigious positions at think tanks who tweet a lot and put out white papers. But in the actual world of Republicans, you go to Florida, Texas, Georgia, you see diverse communities, voting Republican. You see people in very small towns in rural parts of the country welcoming, Tejanos and people who have roots who are 1 or 2 generations removed from the United States and from European American culture, right? I think in the actual world, there isn't quite nearly as much hostility towards these things as you might see among, certain right-wing influencers, among the Charlie Kirks of the world, among some of the people maybe JD follows on Twitter or on social media. And I think the Republican Party needs to calibrate for that if it wants to survive. And I'm not doing the 2012, autopsy saying they have to be 100% pro, legalize everybody, loose immigration policies, so on and so forth. But they do have to avoid being racist, right? They have to avoid being racist, and they have to avoid looking like they just want the country to be full of white folks, because that's not the country anymore. And a lot of people who are curious about voting Republican, who agree with Republicans on taxes, who agree with Republicans on social policy, they want, strong police. They're kind of skeptical about abortion, the morality of abortion, particularly a lot of these Latin American immigrants are. A lot of people want to vote Republican, but they're not going to vote Republican if they feel like they're being insulted every day, right? Or someone's going to spread some racist theory about their group every day.
I don't know. How many people like that do you think are in some way see voting Republican, being Republican, adopting that aesthetic as being a way of like assimilating? I almost think that might be part of the appeal.
If they're putting those kind of people into power, right? And that, I think, is the line they need to kind of straddle. And I think Vance needs to understand this, that a lot of what he's saying about global capital, a lot of what he's saying.
Because I have noticed that MAGA tends to, when they have somebody that is a Republican, that is of a demographic that is not supposed, not expected to vote heavily Republican, I do see a lot of love bombing from MAGA people in that kind of situation.
About families and how hard it is to raise a family are true.
How authentic it is.
And they resonate very well with people for good reason. But man, you got
definitely a very conditional form of acceptance.
You got to take race and culture out of it, right? You got to understand that a lot of the conservative cultural values you value are the same ones probably a lot of those folks coming into Springfield from Haiti value, right? They probably value strong families. They're probably kind of skeptical about abortion. They probably want good policing. I mean, I haven't heard about any big crime wave as a result of these people, probably because they're sick of that from where they came from. They're happy to be in a country with a rule of law, with police, where criminals do get punished.
Oh my God, I don't know. It's a tough question with Haiti. And it's, in a lot of cases, like the police are the problem. But yeah, there's also gang violence as well.
Where if somebody ate a cat, they would be punished for it, right? We'd all hear about it. We'd all know about it. We wouldn't have to rely on this blurry video that Chris Rufo is sending around, like UFO, Bigfoot style, right? So,
well, we're going to find out if you're right or not, Zed. I'm very curious. I'm of several minds about it, as we've talked about for ad nauseum now at the show. Really appreciate you, as always. Thank you for...
Okay, so there we go. So, chat, we're almost done with this topic. I'm going to watch one more thing. It's going to be Kyle Kulinski, and then we're going to go to President Sunday versus West Side Tyler. Once again, we're going to stare into that fucking void and see what stares back at us. And if it asks me to make it a thumbnail, we'll get into that in a second. Anyway, so yeah, what do we got here? We got Kyle Kulinski. So if you don't know, Kyle Kulinski is the husband of Crystal Ball, and this beef between Crystal and JD Vance is one that Kyle seems to have some strong opinions on. So we're going to check that out. I also want to see where we are at as far as the poll goes. It looks like 45% of you in the full scale stream, in the full screen stream, are voting for Jill Stein versus AOC, The Breakfast Club. 32% of you are saying breathe into your balls is what you want as content. 14% of you say AJW, that's Actual Justice Warrior, simps for Anna Kasparian, pretty cringe, but also pretty entertaining. And then only 9% for Lauren Chen, does a cringe-worthy stand-up. If I look at the shorts stream, we have 38% of you for Jill Stein versus AOC. We have 30% of you voting for the Breakfast Club. Oh, look at that. Lauren Chen, cringe-worthy stand-up comedy is at 17%, and AJW Simps for Anna Kasparian is at 16%. And see if the donos affect anything here. Looks like the only real thing we've got going on. Yo, what is up with that? No, the donos are not. Looks, we have had some donations go down. Not nearly enough to put us in good position for being able to get bonus content today, but it's still possible. Like, we're almost a fifth of the way there. But just like, I haven't had people. So just so you know, when you donate, you can tell me in the chat. And if you've already told me, or you donated but you didn't realize you could tell me, you can do it now. You can tell me which of these topics you want to see covered, and I'll go ahead and add your donation to the topic of your choice as a percentage, right? So you'll actually help the topic that you want to see as bonus content to win. And so far, like, only one person has said, I want to see Lauren Chen stand up. So, not nearly enough to, Lauren Chen is probably losing the poll right now. So 1% is not nearly enough to change the outcome of the poll, but it might not even matter if we don't hit the dono goal by the end of the stream. We do have a decent amount of time left, though, so I'm not panicking or anything like that. And you shouldn't panic either. Just know that when you do donate, whether it's through a super chat, super sticker, whether you're getting yourself a membership or giving the gift of weasels to other people in the chat on YouTube, whether you are signing up for my Patreon, or whether you are donating to my throne to help me crowdsource stuff from stream, or anything over on Twitch. If you're using a Twitch Prime sub to get yourself a free sub, get you out of that ad break, you're taking advantage of September, the 25% off in subs that's available for this month only, and I don't know why nobody's taking advantage of it. This is like scaring me, chat. Like, nobody's taking advantage of it. This is the month to stock up on subs. You can even buy subs for more months and get them discounted down to like $4 instead of 6 months. So that's a pretty good deal that's going right now, even if you don't have a Twitch Prime sub, or if you're gifting people subs on YouTube. If you see somebody that doesn't have a sub and you want to save them from the ad break, all of that counts. Yeah, if you're gifting the sub, you're the one who gets to decide where that money goes. So just make sure, whatever kind of donation you're doing, that you're letting me know in the chat which of these topics you want to see next, and I'll be happy to put your donation to work for the topic of your choice. You'll also drive the dono goal forward and get us, a little bit more comfortable position for being able to hit that dono goal by the end of the stream. Anyway, I'm going to watch Kyle Kalinske here, see what Kyle's got to say about the beef between his wife Crystal Ball, Zed, and JD Vance, and then after that,
Sasha G super chatted $10. I'ma put this towards AJW Simps for Anna Kasparian.
Okay. Look at that. So yeah, it doesn't have a lot of votes right now, but look at that. It gets 10 extra points from Sasha G's super chat. Thank you, Sasha G. And thank you also for helping me show you. You see what I did there, right? I took this. It was at 0, gets 0 extra points. Now it gets 10 extra points. And now this dono goal thing goes forward to 27%, putting us kind of close to being like a third of the way there, putting us way closer into striking range of hitting that dono goal. And we've been having some success with that. We've also been having some success with getting likes on the stream. So I see a lot of you have voted. Slightly less of you have liked the stream. I know that's obviously just something that you forgot to do, and you're probably rushing to do it right now to like the stream. If you're watching on Shorts, you can like the stream too. It's a little different though. You have to hold down your thumb on your phone in order to like the stream. It's just like TikTok. I think that's the way that you do it. You can also, there's like 3 dots way up there somewhere in the upper right-hand corner. If you can't like the stream by holding it down, then you can hit those 3 dots, open up a screen, and you'll get the like and the dislike. And give me some feedback. Let me know if you dislike the stream, if you like the stream, whatever your feeling is about the stream. I want to know. I want that feedback. So you could do that as well. And it helps the stream out too. The cool thing about it is it helps bring in people to the stream that are like you, because YouTube will look at your watch history, be like, oh, you watch this, this, and this, and this, and it'll find other people that are just like you, for real. and it'll bring them in here and be like, maybe this person would like it too. And you'll be like, hey friend, that's really cool that there's more people to talk to now. Yeah, get it? So anyway, let's watch Kyle Kulinski. After that, we'll switch over to the Westside Tyler and President Sunday content. And we'll watch that and maybe do some bonus content. Who knows if we hit the dono goal by the time the end of the stream hits. Again, thank you, Sasha G, and thank you. Wait, okay, so you're evening things out. Actually, Shorts chat had been beating like the full screen chat for once. Like that almost never happens, and beating Twitch, beating both of them combined. Actually, Twitch, where are you at? Right, I haven't heard anything from you during the month of September. This is the time to you get more than your money's worth here, right? Because it costs you $4 to get the sub. And you get to play with 6% in, it's kind of like the best deal going. So would love to see some more subs on Twitch at some point. But yeah, I'm proud of Shorts Chat, and also proud of the full screen chat for catching up with Shorts Chat, thanks to Sasha G. So here we go. We're gonna watch Kyle Kulinski. Then we're gonna we're gonna take a look at the drama that's been going on today. This wild and woolly like it's bitch slapping. They're bitch slapping. It's President Sunday bitch slapping and Tyler bitch slapping, and Aiko comes in with a bitch slap. It's just they're all bitch slapping each other. So we'll take a look at that after this. Have some low stakes fun at the expense of someone else. Oh my god! And check out that drama, and then maybe do a little bonus content as well. We'll see what happens. Oh my god! I gotta unmute it, don't I? Kyle Kulinski, what do you got to say?
Absolutely insane and ludicrous things. And then his job is to be the cleanup committee. He comes out afterwards and tries to like put some logic on Trump's unhinged ramblings. And he's doing his best at it. But of course, he's humiliating himself in the process. And he knows that these arguments are not landing. And he also knows that him and Trump are slipping in the polls day by day as we speak. Okay, so you're going to know he's struggling mentally here because he did the classic, like, high schooler.
YouTube won't let you buy gift memberships today for some reason? Huh, weird.
Rookie to the internet type mistake.
Let me know if anybody else is getting that too. I'm curious.
He's getting in fights on social media. Bro, this is like social media 101 type shit. You don't read the replies. You don't get into fights on the timeline. This is basic. This is a lesson that everybody who's been in this space for an extended period, everybody learns it. Everybody learns it. Why are you going to give yourself strife? Why are you going to lose your fucking mind responding to people? But this is what he's doing. He's coming.
See, I don't know. Is there any Twitter heads in here? One in chat if you're a Twitter head. Two in chat if you're a Blue Sky head. I'm curious, right? Because like this is actually how I handle my Twitter. I very rarely get into fights on my own timeline. I sometimes, argue with people on their posts, I guess, but I don't really do it on my own timeline. Now, I always think that maybe I'm not doing Twitter right for that, you get more engagement, that you get more, like, right, if I'll reply if somebody says something funny under my post, I'll be like, I'll joke around with them, right? But if somebody, like, I have this one Vosh orbiter that I think I did a podcast with at some point. Oh, I shouldn't even call this person a Vosh orbiter. What are they like? They might be more of like a shark orbiter. I'm not even sure. But something over there on the Vosh side of things, something over there on the White Leaf side of things, right? And whenever I post anything about Vosh or White Leaf, they're like, oh yeah. And I don't give them the time of day because I know what they want. They're looking for engagement and I'm not giving them that. They're a much smaller account than me. And I think I see what Kyle is saying, but I don't know. Is it better when you do fight? I thought Twitter was for fighting.
Unglued, y'all. He's coming unglued. So let's start with this. He comes out and says this. If you were to ask what caused me to change my tune about President Trump from 2016 to 2020, I could give you a few reasons. But what we're seeing in Springfield really drives it home. Housing costs skyrocketing, communicable diseases.
Liar.
On the rise. Car accidents, crime, blah, blah, blah. He's trying to give like 48 reasons why don't immigrants suck, bro. Immigrants fucking suck, bro. But I love the communicable.
What a weasel.
On the rise part. Didn't the right just define themselves for the past few years as believing COVID is a hoax and believing anti-vaccine conspiracy theories and saying it was blown out of proportion and it wasn't actually even that deadly. And now all of a sudden, in the context of discussing immigrants, it's they're spreading disease. Communicable disease is on the rise. Okay, so Zed Jelani responds to JD Vance and said, Springfield was declining for years until they saw an increase in jobs and growth driven by people moving in. That means more wealth, healthier budgets, etc. And there are no upsides to Are there no upsides to immigration in your view? What about Usha's parents? Should they have stayed in India?
So is this what got his goat?
This is him bringing up JD Vance's Indian American wife, saying, "Hey, now you're all Mr. I'm not tough on immigration. I hate immigration." It's like, okay, dude, your wife's parents were immigrants. Should they have not come here? Should they have not come here? Totally legitimate question from Zed Jelani. JD Vance responds, get this, guys. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this response. Look at this. He wrote him a fucking essay. He goes, dude, I've always liked you, so maybe this should be a longer conversation, but come on. Good argument, JD. Good argument. Come on, bro. Bringing up reasonable counterpoints to my
This is what got his goat.
Are there no upsides to immigration is a...
Oh, wait. That's right.
Should we drop 20,000...
Chad, he said that was a goat. Oh my God, I swear to God. It's so weird. It's so weird. All these Republicans, they love RFK. They're like, fuck yeah, RFK, you're so good. You're so good. I love you. I agree with you. RFK ate a dog. Right? RFK, if you offer him any sort of, non-standard, by his native cuisine sort of meat, he will take you up on that offer, brainworms or no, right?
People from a radically different culture.
Isn't it wild? They admire RFK, but they're like, but the Haitians though.
In a small Ohio town.
RFK is eating your dog.
In a matter of a few years. I'm going to give you...
Jeannie Buttle says, as I can't donate, I leave a like at least. Yo, Thumb Gang, right? That is, you don't even realize how powerful your thumbs are. You don't even realize how powerful, I keep on emphasizing that, how powerful this like function is, right? It literally lets the algorithm know, not only that you enjoy the stream, not only that people are here enjoying the stream, but also like what kind of people. Like YouTube does, knows a lot about you, and it'll bring, more people that you can have fun conversations with into the chat. So it's seriously powerful stuff, and I do appreciate Thumb Gang above, it's the most powerful force in my community is Thumb Gang.
Facts on all this stuff in just a second, so bear with me here. First of all, remember that I've been on this issue for months, well before it became viral. You have actual leftists.
RFK is eating people? I don't doubt it.
Who will say, look, housing prices have gone up. It's great for local
Wait.
residents. What about
I forgot.
Who don't own homes? Blah, 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 blah.
I forgot we're supposed to do this like this. Oh my God, chat. There's all kinds of things I'm supposed to be doing for... Okay, so... Wait, no, it's the same... I guess I just need to hit this. All right, so I gotta start doing this, right? This is what I've been told. So while I'm watching this, I'm watching this.
Look at the number of Medicaid recipients who are newcomers.
I should be going like...
Stresses the local hospital system. I have constituents who say they've lost their... And blah, 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 blah. Anyway, this is him saying, bro, look at all the fucking horrible downsides of having immigration. Do you see this? Do you see all the horrible downsides of it? What do you have to say about the horrible downsides of it? What he's doing is omitting all of the upsides and all of the ironclad facts that prove the upsides are actually unfolding in reality today. Again, more on that in a minute. So then my wife chimes in. Crystal chimes in and replies to JD Vance's essay that he sent to Zed Jelani. She says, when you insist on spreading neo-Nazi fueled smears, that's literal by the way, about immigrants leading to bomb threats, it kind of closes the space for this intellectual discussion about pluses and minuses of immigration that you're now retreating to, dude. She's exactly right. She's exactly right. You can't, okay, the lie that they're spreading about legal Haitian immigrants eating cats, you know where this is from? It's from a neo-Nazi group called Blood Tribe. They are the originators of it.
Yep.
And now far-right freaks have been bending over backwards, desperately trying to find anything they could cling to as evidence that it's happening. And by the way, every single thing they've come up with, total swing and a miss, factually wrong, not true, and we're going to show it and discuss it in a minute. So she comes in and says that. Now, guys, when you know your opponents have a point, when you know you stepped in shit and you're humiliating yourself, that's when you start really going in on the timeline and responding to everybody, right? So get this. JD Vance not only replied to Zed Jelani, he also replied to something Matt Iglesias said. There were others. And then now he responds to Crystal. You ready for this? He says, Crystal Ball, I hate neoliberalism. I'm a populist. Also, Crystal Ball, anybody who doesn't think 20,000 cheap laborers should be dropped on a small town in Ohio is a neo-Nazi. No, you fucking asshole. What she's pointing out is the objective fact that the lie you're spreading about Haitians came from Blood Tribe, a Nazi group. That's a fact. You might want to hide that. You might want to bury that because you're spreading Nazi propaganda, but that's a fact. That's where it comes from. That's what she's referring to. So now, after you get called out on your bullshit, you retreat to, bro, who, me? I just want to have, like, high-minded, intellectual, nuanced discussions about whether or not the Nazis have a point. That's all I want to do. Can we be reasonable? Can we, like, look at both sides of the Nazi propaganda that I'm credulously spreading? No, fuck you, because we have the answers on this, and you're wrong.
Now, the real question I got is that, like, given, like, Sagar's, like, response to this, right, which wasn't that much, which was fairly defensive of JD Vance, right? This is Crystal's coworker. This is somebody that Crystal, this is maybe the drawback of existing on a show like Breaking Points or The View. Sorry, The View, what am I saying? The Hill, the Rising.
And you're wrong. Now, of course, this got under my skin because she's accusing Crystal here.
Valerie, the lovely Italian, says, who is this? This is Kyle Kalensky. He was a new atheist back in the day. He started up a channel on YouTube called Secular Talk. And now he just kind of does like, you know, sort of liberal political analysis on it. He's kind of moved away from the new atheist community after it became sort of weird and right-wing.
Of being a fake populist. He's accusing Crystal of being a fake populist. So, of course, I had to point out his record.
Oh, here we go. Going after JD Vance on Twitter.
Populist JD Vance dodged a question on raising the minimum wage. That just happened. You want to know why he did that? Because him and Trump don't support raising the minimum wage. He didn't support the pro-union PRO-Act, as he pretends like he's anti-union. By the way, he also has a 0% score from his 2023 AFL-CIO report card, his union report card. 0% he got. Mr. I'm a populist, I'm for the working man. And he also skipped a vote on extending the child tax credit.
I feel like people that were fans of TYT back in the day, they could really like sort of find a home with Kyle Kalensky, right? If you notice, like, a lot of his like sort of, you know, his whole bluster is kind of like it's like what Jink used to do, but like not cringy. Like Jink's like over the top with it, and also yeah, like Iraq is saying solidly left liberal, not like TYT home of progressives bullshit liberal.
While he was virtue signaling like he supports extending a child tax credit. This guy is a fucking fraud. He's a fraud.
Is that real tan or spray tan? I'm guessing real, since you know, this guy, you know, has a pretty big YouTube channel, can afford to go on vacations, unlike myself.
So I went a little over the top and said, take your Ivy League elitist venture capitalist ass back to the 4chan message board, because that's where he belongs. Or on Peter Thiel's dick, where he...
Yo! Bro just called him a dick rider.
He also belongs, because that's his billionaire sugar daddy, Peter Thiel. He beats up on all sorts of politicians for taking big money from different sources, but look at that. Silicon Valley billionaire money, that's not in the criticism. Why? Because he's suckling at the teat of the Silicon Valley billionaire, Peter Thiel. So, and as I pointed out to him, this lie you're spreading is literally from a neo-Nazi group. So, let's dive a little deeper into this. JD Vance and Donald Trump are out there saying that they're eating the cats, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the pets, they're eating the pets. And JD Vance is right out there like the loyal little sycophantic bitch he is, probably knowing that what Trump says is not true. but he's running into the wall at 100 miles an hour, running into the brick wall at 100 miles an hour and fucking up his face and his teeth and all that. So here's the reality of the situation. First, let's go to the Republican governor of Ohio. The Republican governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine. What does he say about this issue of they're eating the pets? They're eating the pets. Here we go.
And here's a question I never thought I would have to ask, but do you see any evidence as governor of the state that Haitian immigrants are eating pets?
No, absolutely not. That's what the mayor said. That's what the chief of police has said. I think it's unfortunate that this came up. Let me tell you what we do know, though. What we know is that the Haitians who are in Springfield are legal. They came to Springfield to work. Ohio is on the move, and Springfield has really made a great resurgence with a lot of companies coming in. These Haitians came in to work for these companies. What the companies tell us is that they are very good workers. They're very happy to have them there. And frankly, that's helped the economy. Now, are there problems connected? Well, sure. When you go from a population of 58,000 and add 15,000 people onto that, you're going to have some challenges and some problems. And we're addressing those. We're working on those every single day. Primary care is essential. The other thing we're working a lot on is driving. We have Haitians who, frankly, many times have not driven before. We need to get more driver's training, and we're working on that. So these are things that we are working on. Springfield is moving forward. I've always felt that, and as the governor of the state of Ohio, we want people who want to come here who are legal, where they come from another state or another country.
So there's the Ohio Republican governor. You also have the mayor of Springfield says this is not true. The police in Springfield say this is not true. And as he points out, wait, you guys are giving the game away. You always say you're against illegal immigrants. These are legal immigrants. They're legal immigrants. And weird, you're still against them. I wonder why. What makes them...
Yeah, what's the connecting thread?
In the eyes of people like Donald Trump and JD Vance, what about them is a little...
Chat, I just wanted to point out an interesting fact, right? On YouTube, we are now at 8,921 subscribers. Do you realize what that means? That means that we are a mere 80 subscribers from being officially over 9,000. If you want to help us hit that over 9,000 make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already.
Different that they look at and say, no, we don't want them here. Let me think about that one a little longer. I got more for you. So here's the End Wokeness account. By the way, it was exposed recently. This is Jack Posobiec, who's also a massive Trump insider, a key purveyor of fake news. Anytime this guy makes any sort of fact claim, it ends up being totally false and in many instances just flat out made up. So he comes out and says, multiple cats in Houston, Texas, cut up and mutilated in recent weeks. No arrests have been made. This person says,
God, this account is such trash. Didn't they get doxxed or something? Didn't they get, exposed?
So far, the visual evidence of Springfield Haitians illegally killing and eating animals has amounted to, number one, a non-Haitian mentally ill woman in Canton, Ohio, killing a cat. Not a Haitian person, I believe not even an immigrant. Somebody having a mental health episode doing it. And by the way, that's what kicked off this whole fake moral panic about Haitians eating cats, is a mentally ill person, not Haitian, not an immigrant, who was caught on video basically killing a cat, right? Number two, a non-Haitian man in Columbus legally clearing roadkill. So you remember that picture that's been floating around social media of some black dude carrying geese? He was clearing roadkill.
Oh, that's what that was. Yeah, that was in Columbus, Ohio.
He was clearing roadkill, and again, not Haitian. And number three, dead cats in Texas that cops say were killed by coyotes. There's another one.
But they'll take anything they can get and call it evidence of Haitians, eating people's pets.
You know that guy, Chris Rufo? He tweeted to his followers, I'll pay you $5,000 if you can prove that the Haitians are eating the cats. I'll pay you $5,000. $5,000. Okay. Hey, idiot, there's a reason why journalists don't do that and can't do that. Because, of course, you're going to get tainted information.
Yo.
Massive conflict of interest. People just want to get paid. They just want to get the money. And also,
welcome in.
A rabid fan base of right-wing freaks who don't care if it's true or not. They just want to spread the narrative that Haitians are eating cats. So what happens? Of course, somebody sends him a fake video. He claims it's somebody eating cats. Yet again, it's not even in Springfield, number one. Number two, it's either a duck or a chicken. It's not even a fucking cat. These people are loathsome. So everything that they've submitted, see, totally untrue. It doesn't even take a difficult amount of fact checking to get to the bottom of it. Just like cursory searches can blow up their narrative in a second. But I got more for you. So here's a PBS NewsHour piece on the new immigrants, legal immigrants that have come to Springfield, Ohio. Let's see what they have to say when you actually go there and talk to the people involved. Watch this.
Mirzu says he came to Springfield for the same reason most Haitians did. He heard that housing was cheap and jobs were plentiful.
It started slowly. We had an application pool that was a little bit different.
People coming to work here.
People looking for jobs. What he's welding here again are welded axle components.
Jamie McGregor is the CEO of McGregor Metal, which makes welded parts for the auto and farm industries. Right now, about 10% of his workforce is Haitian, over 30 employees.
I wish I had 30 more. Our Haitian associates come to work every day. They don't have a drug problem. They'll stay at their machine. They'll achieve their numbers. They are here to work. And so in general, that's a stark difference from what we're used to in our community.
McGregor acknowledges the sudden arrival of so many new immigrants is a challenge on multiple fronts, but he believes this is partly how the industrial Midwest can regrow.
We want more jobs in our community. And in order to fill those jobs, some jobs need to be people who are not originally from here.
They also go on to explain in this that they revitalized a local church, a church that virtually nobody was going to. All of a sudden, you have this influx of legal immigrants, and that church is revitalized. You know, the right has their own video that they're pointing to where they say, see, this proves our point. This proves our point. You know what that video is? It was shared by Benny Johnson. Some other right-wing YouTuber made it. They went to Springfield, Ohio. They were talking to a bunch of people, right?
Yeah, what the Sigma indeed.
And within the first 5 seconds of the video, you have a white person making all the accusations. They're eating cats, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're terrible, they're bad. And he calls the legal Haitian immigrants sand monkeys.
Yo, don't say that shit.
And the right is pointing.
You don't have to fucking say the slur.
This proves we're right.
I disavow this. This is even when you're
take the word of a guy who referred to them as sand monkeys.
No, dude, bro, come on, Kyle. God, Jesus Christ.
As gospel? Yeah,
yeah, that was on Tyler Oliveira. Tyler Oliveira, censored it, right? Like, there's versions of that you can find where I don't know where they come from. Maybe it's Patreon or something where they don't censor it, but I've seen it posted on Twitter. But like on the YouTube video, Tyler Oliveira censored it because guess what? Kyle, and this is not me like woke scolding Kyle before he even goes there, right? Kyle, we're both YouTubers. Please, for the love of God, I'm trying to stay monetized here, bro. Come on.
Sure that his dislike of these legal Haitian immigrants is purely from a place.
I'm getting phantom taxed, Christian. I'm getting phantom taxed by Kyle Kulinski. The fucking demonetization fairy comes along and takes a phantom tax out of my paycheck.
Of rational,
takes a nice little bite out of that.
Logical analysis. It doesn't sound like he's a vile bigot who can't wait to point his finger at anybody and anything that's slightly different from him to blame them for his own problems. Who are we kidding here, guys?
Yeah, Tyler really does put the microphone in the worst people's faces. Several Wolf says, does zero fact checking or pushback, and hogs are like, finally, a real yeah, that's right.
Still not done. Springfield was dying before it started the campaign in 2014 to attract immigrants. The budget picture now, quote, for the first time in city history, the assessed tax valuation topped $1 billion for 2023. You're reviving a dead town. And they don't like it. Because part of the revival is you have some black people.
Look, when Kyle does this stuff,
Haitian immigrants.
When Kyle does this stuff, I want to be like,
rather be a dying town.
Like, seriously, Kyle.
Left to the dustbin of history than be revitalized, but part of the revitalization is having black neighbors.
And you know what else I say? I say,
this is going bad.
And I also say,
absolutely disgusting, man. Absolutely disgusting. So,
Dingus
by the
Gambit.
way, now, I'm giving you the facts here. You know what else has happened since Trump has accused these people of eating cats And he also said dogs, by the way. He couldn't even get the facts in his fake news story correct. But you know what's happened? Here. Wittenberg University in Springfield.
Yeah, I think he said dogs first.
Ohio says someone has threatened to shoot Haitians on campus. All events canceled. Two hospitals in Springfield, Ohio were forced to lock down today due to bomb threats after Donald Trump, JD Vance, Elon Musk, and other MAGA influencers continued to spread a debunked hoax about migrants eating people's pets. So you have schools and you have hospitals that have had to shut down in a panic and evacuate because the right is spreading lies. Nazi propaganda from a group called Blood Tribe. This is what's had to happen. Guys, I know I say it all the time, but it's true. This is a new low. This is a new low for these people. It doesn't get any lower than this. A lot of the lies they're spreading are right out of the Nazi playbook. Right out of the Nazi playbook. More. What's now being distributed in Springfield, according to a local pastor. Foreigners and Haitians out. There is no place in America for this filth. We don't need more police officers. We need mass deportation. A fourth of Springfield is already in poverty. Now $2 million is being used to care for these beasts of the field.
Again, just so it's clear to anybody moderating my channel, this is fucked up. This is racist. This is bad.
Fields. America first, join us and stand against.
You know, it seems like an obvious thing to say, but
against forced immigration. Trinity White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. And oh, would you look at that? There's a number here. There's a phone number here.
All right, we get off of this.
Now, look, to be clear, I think it's a little more than half of the Republican Party. It says it's true, a little more than half. But in the whole country, it's only a measly 26%. There's a lot to say about this fact, isn't there? In terms of what has become of the Republican Party. But again, the good news is it's only 26% of the country. This 26% are absolutely idiotic beyond comprehension. Mosquito IQ to the max. That's what we're looking at there. But again, it's only 26% after a sustained propaganda campaign trying to get people to buy this bullshit. So there it is, guys. JD Vance.
There it is indeed. There it is indeed. There it is indeed, chat. All right. So that is the JD Vance portion of our programming for today, which means that we are en route to talking about something completely different. And now for something completely different. That's right. The bitch fight that is Westside Tyler versus President Sunday continues today as Westside Tyler returns from his vacation. And he chose violence. The bad news is it's 26%. Yeah, that is like, it's way too high. But the good news is, I guess, it's not. Sometimes you wonder like how many people are believing this shit. And the answer is 26%. It's higher amongst men. It's way higher amongst Trump supporters. But yeah, it's overall, it's only 26%. Why does he look like the bad guy from an early 2000s rom-com? Lobbit says, I think it's higher if you count people who want to believe it. They're like, I want to believe in the racist theory. Anyway, speaking of bitch fight, we're about to get to one. So, let's see what's going on here. Tyler's back. And look, I gave Tyler a lot of credit because Sunday's been putting out video after video after video after video about him. And he doesn't really talk about Sunday that much. There's not a lot of there's a lot more Sunday talking about Tyler than there is Tyler talking about Sunday. However, I guess everybody's got their breaking point, and considering that Sunday and his it's like he's trying to do a white leaf. Do you get that feeling? Right, chat? I was looking at this video This is Sunday's video called the stream called West Side Tyler fails basic journalism and slanders source me. Right. This is the one where Sunday unleashes all of the DMs between himself and Tyler. Wait, actually, I think the DMs are back here or something. And look, in an effort to try to show, like, because Tyler made an accusation that Sunday had been sweeping, had been sandbagging, had been, in his words, throwing dirt on his story about Demon Mama, and this is a post that Tyler made in his Discord where he calls Sunday out for that. Now, when I went over Sunday's DMs with Tyler the first time, I kind of agreed with him in that the DMs don't show what Tyler is claiming happened in his conversations with Sunday. However, there is a voice call in there, and it was not recorded. Unlike the interaction that Sunday had with some of Tyler's mods, this voice call was not recorded. Nobody recorded it, right? So there's no record. And Tyler's claim is that the stuff that he was talking about Sunday trying to kind of sandbag his his investigation into Demon Mama and her community, and the harm that happened to Glooby, the kind of stuff that gets passed around there, the sort of art that one of Demon Mama's partners draws and is into, which is kind of like the parallel to the stuff in Vash's tax folder. He felt that Sunday was somehow still talking to somebody in that community, and was working on behalf of them to try to kind of keep his investigation from coming to light, right? And when this first happened, I was given to believe what Sunday said, because Sunday does show these DMs, and these DMs don't show Sunday, trying to push back or trying to squelch the investigation or anything like that, right? However, there's that phone call. And what's in that phone call? Discord call, right? What's in that Discord call, we will never know because it wasn't recorded. And after having experienced a little bit more of President Sunday's antics myself, after being nice enough to allow this guy to come on my stream when I was going through the controversy, I was going through their VODs and kind of, just giving my opinion on it. Sunday wanted to come in and talk to me, explain his side of things. I allowed him to do that. Tyler jumped back in the chat and wanted to come on and yell at Sunday, and I brought Tyler on. They wanted to debate. Sunday specifically also told me, this has been characterized in various ways, including like my feelings being hurt about being called a bad moderator. I was told not to moderate, all right, by Sunday, and Tyler didn't object. So they so you got one person coming into, and I always try to give people a chance, right? If they're like a good person, if they're good faith, if I trust them, right? And I'm going over something that involves them, and they're in chat and they're like, hey, I'd like to talk about this. I'll be like, all right, well, let's bring you in and have that conversation. I don't ever want to be talking about someone without giving them the chance to respond. So, I offered that to Sunday. Then Tyler, jumped in the call and wanted to talk, and I was told by Sunday not to moderate. So I treated both of them very nicely, right? And I was repaid for that with a lot of stuff that was, discourteous, dishonest, disingenuous. And then finally just outright, borderline slander, borderline defamation, right? From Sunday. Sunday had a lot of bad shit to say about me, not while he was talking to me. After I bring him on to let him say his piece about what's going on between him and Tyler, and at the time, I was positively disposed to his side of the story, right? he repays that in the most dishonest way possible. And none of these problems he supposedly has with me were expressed in our conversation. They were only expressed on his. So do you see what I'm saying, chat? I go out of my way to be nice to this guy, to allow him to express himself, to give his side of things on my stream. He's nice to me, to my face, and then fucking backstab. He's a snake. This guy's a snake. This guy's a 100% a weasel. He's a weasel, okay? This guy is an absolute coward little weasel. I don't know. There's a lot of ways that I could describe it. Most of them are not super monetization friendly. So let me just like step away from that for a second. So after seeing this behavior from Sunday, and then taking a look at these DMs, right? Remember, these are the DMs that Sunday's showing in order to confirm his side of the story, in order to show you that the things that Tyler claimed were not present in the DMs. However, what we see, the story that he tells with these DMs, is essentially the story of Sunday trying to recruit Tyler for something very similar to Whiteleaf. You know how Whiteleaf has each other's back? You know how they work together? You know how if they go after one person, you know, if like for instance, like, you know, like I gotta remember who's still friends, right? Who is still friends? Like if Vosh goes after you, you know, there's a good chance that Demon Mama's gonna go after you. If you say something about, you know, one member of Whiteleaf, you're going to get shit back from other members of Whiteleaf. They attack as a pack, right? Sunday is trying to establish this dynamic with Westside Tyler. And I don't like it. That's a clout network, right? That's somebody that doesn't want the truth to prevail, but that wants to develop a bigger, stronger megaphone to be able to drown other people out with, right? And he's... You know, I could use the term grooming. I obviously don't mean the kind of grooming that Tyler is implying when he talks about Demon Mama. I'm not saying that's what Sunday's doing. I'm not implying anything sexual, you know, for the record, right? But yeah, kind of grooming a newer content creator into becoming part of his clout network, right? And you can see, you know, him doing this with other people. We haven't seen the DMs between him and Aiko or him and Reservoir or anybody else, but you can see that there's a coordination between them. You can see that, you know, it's not just Sunday going after Tyler, it's Sunday and Aiko and Reservoir and maybe a few other people that that Sunday is close to going after. So Sunday, you know, if you want to fight Tyler, fight him, but why do you gotta 4v1 the dude? You're actually like, look, I don't agree with everything that comes out of Tyler's mouth. There's even been some stuff recently that Sunday's pointed out that Tyler said that I also think is, you know, wrong. But regardless of all my disagreements with Tyler, unlike Sunday, Tyler is not a snake. He's not a liar. He's not a conniving little weasel sitting in his Discord trying to fucking do ops on people. That's what this is. And however you want to characterize those ops, Sunday, that's up to you, all right? But regardless, I don't think there's anything particularly happy about them, all right? So yeah, we're going to take a look at what Tyler had to say on his day back. I guess he's finally had enough. I don't know if this is smart. I don't know if this is wise. I have a lot of respect for him for biting his tongue as long as he did, and for not, you know, rolling around in the mud with Sunday. But yeah, a lot has been said about Tyler, and now Tyler's going to say some stuff back. And sure enough, chat, we also, oh, is he still on? Actually, I can't tell. Let's take a look at this. Sunday did come on to essentially stream snipe Tyler. The thing that I say that I don't do. Now, it's not like, I don't know, like, I think I'm the only one that follows this code. And I follow this code because I've been ganged up about and had a lot of lies spread about me. So I kind of feel this like compulsion to be as good faith as I can to not, to not compete with someone with their own content while they're streaming that content. So, but I know that not everybody does that, and I know like hardly anybody does that, right? The whole streamception thing, yeah. So Sunday's done, Tyler's done. Let's get into it. What do you think? Let's get into it. The other thing we got to get into is getting we got to get Shorts chat to join with the full scale chat. So let's do that right now. Shorts chat, I am going to slip you a link. There it is. If you want to join us over in the full screen chat, where we will be continuing our live stream. Again, we're talking about different stuff. We're talking about Westside Tyler and President Sunday. So if this doesn't sound interesting to you, be on your way. Do whatever you want to do. I'm going to give you this link. I'm going to pin the link in chat. And if you want to come over, you can click that. Also, when I hit in stream, I think it'll automatically take you to the link, so it should bring you over. Again, you're under no obligation, right? You came here to watch political content about JD Vance. We finished that content. Now we're going to go on to some streamer drama. If that sounds interesting to you, I would love to have you over in the full scale chat. So I'm going to say I'm going to end the Shorts stream now. Give you a little chance to click that button, to click that link. I've posted it in chat a few times. I've also pinned it. And again, you will probably be redirected if you stay in stream until the end of it. So do as you will. Do as you will. All right, so we're going to get this started. Again, the dono goal is up to 27%. Let me check. Oh, yeah, I should check. Oh, wow, it's tightening up. So Jill Stein versus AOC. Looks like this is how the Shorts... we got 136 votes. Jill Stein versus AOC on The Breakfast Club at 33%. Breathe Into Your Balls at 29%. AJW Sims for Anna Kasparian at 21%, and Lauren Chen's cringeworthy stand-up comedy, whatever the fuck she's doing, is only at 17%. So I'll take, I don't know, what should I take, like a snapshot of that, grab that while I can, boom, and then put it into the so I'll end up adding this in at the very end of things. And I'm going to hit in stream now, but you're welcome to join us over on the full scale stream if you would like to. Again, the link is pinned, so there we go. Yeah, you will enjoy some Thai tent. We will enjoy some Thai tent tonight. We will all enjoy the sun tent, as it were.